Testing microphone. Testing 1 2. Testing mic. Testing 1 2 1 2 3. Testing microphone. Hope you guys can hear me. Welcome to VR Essentials. We're going to be starting the live party chat with VR guest Valem, a wizard developer, very cool guy, very exciting to have him on the channel. Really exciting to have him on the channel. So stay tuned, guys, as we'll be starting in just a few minutes time. Are you ready? We're going to be starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys. Oh, let me go to the, there we go. Yes, I'm still here. Stay in the call. All right, cool. Hi guys, welcome to VR Essentials. Hope you guys are doing well. Really glad to have you with us on today's party chat. Ask me anything with VR guest Valem. So he'll be here in about half an hour or so. Yeah, but guys, if you want to ask him any questions or anything, leave some comments below. Let me just go to his YouTube channel very quickly so you can actually see who he is, what he does, and all that kind of stuff for those who are not familiar with him. We're also going to be, by the way, reading some comments that you guys have leaving all week long Whew, so many videos this week, so much news has been going on. So I'll be reading some of the comments from you guys, and of course, I will be greeting all of you. Before we go to Valem's channel, let me just say hello to all of you. So JTHBS, hello, welcome to VR Essentials. Thank you very much for taking part into today's show. Imushazu, wow, that's a cool name. Also, it's still loading for me. All right, works now. Also, all good. All right, guys, welcome to you. Welcome to VR Essentials. And guys, don't be shy. Let us know where you're from. I'm here based in Singapore. It's well, more than 11 o'clock at night for me. So good morning or good afternoon to you, or good evening if you're in this part of the world also. And yeah, so let me just show you his YouTube channel. So Valem is synonymous in the industry for being basically what I would say is a wizard, coder, developer. He does so many different things. Do go to his channel, guys. It's called @ValemVR. Let me just make it bigger so you can see. There you go, @ValemVR. There we go. And then basically he does a whole bunch of different things, you know. I mean, I was actually trying to build a game at one point, and I actually used his channel to learn a thing or two. So that's going to be very interesting to talk to him about that kind of stuff. And also, yeah, so he does pretty much everything. And I'm very interested in also two specific things that he did lately, including the VR Jam 2023 that he did. So he organizes VR Jams for developers to take part, and you know, it's really awesome what he does with that. And also he used Chat GPT to create some NPCs. So we might have a behind the scenes demo of how he actually uses Chat GPT to develop some stuff using Unity. I asked him if he could show us. He said yes. So let's see what happens. If we can make that happen, that would be really awesome, because I'm personally very, very curious about how you implement Chat GPT, you know, and how you make that work. Although you could just go and watch his video, of course, but it's nice to, you know, get that demo with him. He's done a ton of other things as well. He can AI code Beat Saber. I thought that was very funny. He also did I Turn Hogwarts Legacy into a VR multiplayer game. I mean, he's done so many different things. He teaches people how to use hand tracking. I thought this video that he did here also, he turned his house into a VR game, which got 1.2 million views. I mean, this video really, really was quite viral and went everywhere as well. So I'm really curious to know more about this and just learning more about him, you know, what he does, how he does it, what motivates him, and also, of course, what he thinks about where the VR space is heading, standalone versus PC VR, you know, all these kind of different things. And of course, talk about Vision Pro, his point of view on Vision Pro. What does he think about it, and whether he's already starting to experiment with it. And we'll talk a little bit more also about Pico. You know, has he experimented a little bit with Pico? You know, the coding, the differences between coding for Pico, coding for Quest, you know, all these kind of different things. So I think it'd be very interesting to see, you know, what his take is on this. So guys, if you have any questions for him, of course, please do leave in the comments below. Mighty Coconut, woohoo, ahoy! Hello to you. Thank you very much for joining today's stream. And guys, we did do a live stream, also live AMA with Mighty Coconut. So just go to the live stream here. And we spoke to Lucas Martel, the creator of Walkabout Mini Golf. So do go and check out that video, because it was really, really awesome, really cool. I think we had a really good time. And, you know, a lot of golden nuggets in that video there as well. We did so many different other live AMAs. We did one also with the founders of Somnium Space and also Cybershoe. So do go and check that one out. We also did one with the VR Realm, who helped us to set up the DPVR VR headset. That was very awesome to have him on the show as well. And we are also confirmed that we will have this young lady here on the show, which I'm very excited about. Let me find her. Yeah, so Duffy is going to be on the show. Let me just make sure I get the right. She organizes VR dancing stuff. I mean, she absolutely amazing as to what she's doing. Daspani, excuse me. So yeah, so Daspani will be on the show. This is confirmed. Absolutely amazing lady as well. So let me just get her chat. Daspani VR. There we go. Yeah, so Daspani is going to be on the show. Absolutely amazing lady. I really love what she does. And when I saw the fact that she was doing also a VR dancing academy using VR chat and all this kind of stuff, I had to get her on the show. I had to contact her. And, you know, so she'll be here in August. and we're also talking to the guys from Between Realities as well. Sorry, my memory is just really gone. I'm too excited for today. So hopefully they'll be on the show in August, if not September, and a whole bunch of other people we're talking to at the moment as well. Wow, so many other people. Arturio, hey, hello, welcome back to VR Essentials. Very nice to have you here. Amipon, hello to you. And also hello to, JTHBS, you're from Germany. So guten morning. I'm sorry, I don't speak German, but Dankeschön, thank you. And also Amipon is from Japan. So moshi moshi, ikuzo. Love Japan as well, love Germany. And of course, you're watching from Malaysia, Imushazu. So we're neighbors because I'm here in Singapore. So hello to you. Nasi Lemak is not Malaysian, right? Telemakase. All right, okay. So let's go to check out some of the comments that you guys have been leaving all week long, because it's absolutely amazing. The amount of comments that you guys leave is just absolutely really, really awesome. We've done a lot of videos this week, quite a few. There's been a lot of news. So this was about the MetaQuest release on Quest 2. Just checking we got a good 15 minutes before we start, so all good. Breaking VR news about the Meta release Quest 2 Pro and Quest Pro VR version 56, update. So Xmos Music says he upgraded to Pico 4. Okay, cool, awesome. Well, let us know if you feel that it's much better than your Quest 2 experience, and I will reply personally to you guys. I do reply to every single person who comments. Maybe not on the same day, but I do reply to every single comment, so I will reply later. For the same video, Rachel Lawson 4537 said, thanks for letting me know about the VR update. You're very, very welcome. And thanks for watching the video. Also, Pico 4 Ultimate PC VR USB-C 3.0 graphics review and setup guide from Komodo Dragos. I keep getting jagged edges when I play PC VR. Any idea on how to improve the multi-sampling on it, please? Well, the only way to really improve it will be depending if you're using your cable or whether you're using, for example, if you're a desktop or you're using the VR assistant and you're basically doing AirPlay, you'll have to adjust the bitrate. Of course, the graphics card that you're using also will impact the graphics of your actual VR games, and also, of course, your CPU. So if you're using Intel or AMD, I found that, for example, when I was using the laptop AMD, I was having a lot more jagged edges than using NVIDIA, to be honest with you. So yeah, and if you guys have any other tips as to how to improve things for people playing in VR, leave comments below. Let us know. Be great to have your feedback on that as well. Okay, let's go to some other comments. MetaQuest 3 now listed on Amazon. Yes, guys, so it's listed on Amazon Japan, although of course you can't purchase it. And there is an option, by the way, that says on the listing that you can purchase the headset on its own. So we're speculating as to whether that means you can purchase it for less than 500 without controllers, and if that would mean that the controllers for the Quest Pro at the moment, the one with the cameras with no ring, would actually be compatible with the MetaQuest 3 or not. So that's something that we really would love to find out. And also, of course, if it means that the $500 version will not have controllers. I really doubt it, guys. Don't be scared. Don't get scared. I really doubt it. But, it just makes me think that maybe that's why it's so cheap. I don't know. I got no idea. I really doubt it, though. I really, really do doubt it. I'm pretty sure it will come with the controllers. So thanks, Bo Trash, for your comment there. Let's go to the Quest Pro cancel. They will be discontinued, guys. They have decided to stop. Production of it and buying all the parts for it, so do go and check out that video. This was an emergency VR news video method to discontinue the Quest Pro. So JDark4163 says because they're working on the Quest Elite, and that will feature 50 ppd screen and a XR3 processor and an all-new user interface that will rely on eye tracking and will have a depth sensor and will be Meta's answer to Apple's Vision Pro, bit tight, and will be available for the price of $2,499 next year. Now, guys, it's very interesting. Thank you very much, JGuard, for your comment. It's very interesting because I do get some people coming to the channel sometimes, and they will leave these kind of comments, and it actually does happen. So I think there are some people from these various different companies who do come to the channel pretending to be someone who, just puts a comment for the sake of commenting, and then actually are from these companies. So I take it with a pinch of salt, but it is quite funny as it has happened a few times before. All right, let's just read another few comments before we talk about some of the news that's been going on in the industry. But if indeed this is the case and they will set it for 2499, I'm not quite sure how tough it'll be for Meta to compete, but who knows? Let's see what happens. All right, so this is another comment from the Emergency VR News Meta to discontinue the Quest Pro. Falcon X9112, thank you for your comment. Although it is disappointing news, I do not regret my purchase. I have been a VR enthusiast since 2016 and have owned 12 different HMDs. Wow, 12 different headsets, that's amazing. He must have a very cool collection at his home, I would imagine. The Quest Pro is the best headset and my current daily driver, from the edge-to-edge clarity of the pancake lenses to the local dimming rich colors and near perfect controller tracking. I have enjoyed the Pro, and will use it every day until the Quest 3. All right, cool. No, I'm not a Meta fanboy, but unless you're a simmer, the Crystal is off the table. And I really can't bring myself to go back to faulty problematic base stations and cheaply made, always breaking index controllers. Yeah, do you guys use index controllers, by the way? Do you find that you have problems with it? I know that a few of my friends who have the index controllers have had issues with it, but that's also because they had really big hands, so they had to replace it a couple of times. What about you guys? Do you have any issues with your index controllers? Do you still use your index controllers? Love to know that, actually. So thank you very much for your comment, Falcon XL. Let's just read one more comment. I will reply. Let's just go down. Let's go down to another video. So many comments, guys. I mean, you guys are absolutely awesome. All right, so there was some other breaking news, of course, that Roblox will be launching the Quest 2 demo or beta version very soon, in a few weeks' time, they said. So PenGod1, thank you very much for your comment. Let's be honest, once Roblox VR is out for a year, it's solo Rec Room and VR chat, man. Like, have you seen the VR games that are being made on Roblox, like games better than Pavlov? So I think what he's saying is, thank you very much again, PenGod, for your comment. I think what he's saying is that basically Roblox, there's so many different worlds inside, and the graphics are not too bad. I mean, you can do some pretty cool stuff, to be honest with you. Do you guys use Roblox? I personally don't, because it's not really my age group, to be honest with you. I think companies use it quite a lot because, of course, they can tap onto the Gen Z kind of target market, which is the teenagers or the younger bracket of the millennials, maybe 19, 20-year-olds from 12-year-olds. And also, of course, it's blocked on the PSVR, if I'm not wrong, due to some privacy issues. They've been having, problems with children's safety, which I think is that's a pretty amazing problem to have, to be honest with you. I don't know whether Roblox is, available on the PSVR now, whether they unblocked it or whether or not. Not quite sure, guys. Do let me know in the comments if you guys know about this. Just want to welcome some more people to the stream. Jacob Lacour, very cool name, from Denmark. Hi, Jacob. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for joining the stream today. Nassi Lamek, well, yes. So guys, if you have any questions for Valem, who's going to be on the call in about 10 minutes time, I believe, or around 10 minutes time. Maybe just go to the call. Yeah, so he's not there yet. So now there's been some more news, guys, about the Vision Pro lately, including I haven't done a video about this yet. Okay, so basically there was a story that came in. In fact, there were 3 stories that came in today. 3 stories that came in today about the Vision Pro. That's how competitive they're being with Meta. They don't want Meta to get the news in the news. They don't want to be in the news. So now you have Apple and Meta, who are, the big guns, who are competing for attention in the news, which I think is freaking awesome. So the first piece of news that came out is that apparently Apple Vision Pro didn't actually create the VR headset to be friendly for those who wear specs, which I think is really, really weird, right? So what they've decided to do, though, was to include the ability for people to use what you call them, lens prescription adapters to put on the lens. So let me just show you very quickly what they would look like. those who don't really know what they are, it's basically this thing. Let me just remove this. So you have the lenses here, and then basically you have the lens insert that just come off. And this is for people who, let me just make sure the sound is working. Yes, okay. So basically this is for people who wear glasses like me and who go into VR, but we don't want to wear our glasses. So we take them off and then we can use these instead of the actual, wearing our glasses in VR. Now the thing that they forgot to say during the actual Apple Vision Pro launch, let me just put the headset away very quickly. So basically what they forgot to say was that the inserts, which they did a collaboration with Zeiss, they're going to cost about $600 extra. So that means that the VR headset's going to cost nearly $4,000 for those who wear glasses, which is, honestly speaking, not great, not fair, I think. So basically what they've done is they actually apparently filed a patent, which is here. So here's the story, where basically they're going to build something in the headset and modify the headset so it's actually comfortable for those who wear glasses, so they don't force people to have to purchase the Zeiss lens prescription adapters. So that's the first piece of news that came out today about this, because of course every other headset that we know of, including PSVR, the PSVR 2 is actually friendly for those who wear glasses. Although I have to admit that the G2 really isn't very friendly. Even these I took the G2 with me to the optician with these glasses, and these are the smallest pair I could find, and I bought these specifically for the G2 before VR Wave sent me the pair. So some news there. There's also some other news from Apple. They launched the Unity beta program today to enable people to start to actually build content for the Apple Vision Pro. So it will be very interesting to talk to Valem about this and see what he thinks about, whether he knows anything about this, because this is all very new stuff. So it's very possible he doesn't really know about this yet, but who knows, he might do. So we'll ask him some questions about, Unity, Apple Vision Pro as well, and what his take is on this, and whether he's excited about, the Apple Vision Pro coming out, and his inspirations, his aspirations as to how potentially he's going to be using it to inspire others and learn and teach others how to actually make VR games for the Apple Vision Pro 2. And then lastly, they've been, I think it's here. Okay, so there's been a whole bunch of different patents who've been filed by Apple, apparently. 4 patents applications from Apple focus on the Apple Vision Pro's adaptable fit mechanism. So I guess this is also to do with the head-mounted device with adaptable fit, so that people can adjust it properly, and also use the lens adapters, as I was mentioning earlier. I haven't actually read the article itself, so I would have to dive deeper into the article and see what it's all about. So that's the news for Apple Vision Pro. Now for MetaQuest, of course. Oh, before I go there, DPVR, by the way, have released a new headset, or are launching a new headset. Let me go to DPVR. Let me find them. Okay, here we go. DPVR. All right. So DPVR, by the way, provide. They just launched an E4, a DPVR E4, which is basically this one here. Let me show you. So this is the 4K DPVR PCVR headset. So that's their new headset, which is the E4. So they apparently are releasing a new headset very soon, according to the Twitter. And hi to DPVR if they're watching today's stream. So the headset is this one here. It's going to be called the P2. So very excited to see what DPVR are doing in this space and what the P2 will be. Because the P1 4K, the P1 Pro 4K is actually a 3 DOF headset. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether the P2 is going to be a 6 DOF headset, or whether it's going to be a, or whether it's going to be a 3 DOF headset. We really don't know. So Really not sure what's going to be happening here, but very excited to see what it's going to be all about. And as I get the lowdown about this and the news about this, of course, I will create some videos on the channel. So do hit, guys, the notification bell after you subscribe to be notified of all the various different AMAs and live party chats that we do with people in the industry, and also, of course, of all the new content that I upload regularly to the channel as well. And smash the likes, guys. Give some love to Valem. Show your love for him. Smash the like so the algorithm, it will help the algorithm for YouTube to promote the this live stream today to a wider audience, so we can grow the VR Essentials YouTube channel community. All right, Valem is here, guys. Should I let him in, guys? Do you want me to let him in now? Press the 1 button if you want me to let him in on the stream. Otherwise, I'm not gonna let him in on the stream. All right, let me let him in. I'm just joking, of course. Someone wants to join this call. Admit. Okay, there we go. Let me kill the music. Hello, Mr. Valem. Let me get rid of the music. Hello, how are you? You can't hear my microphone? I can't hear you though. Give me a moment. For some reason, he can hear me, but I can't hear him. All right, it's probably in the settings. Let me just check the settings very quickly. Okay, now that I have the right speaker. Okay, let me go to my driver. No, I have the right. Okay. Mr. Valem, I can't hear you. We're having some technical difficulties. Is your mic on, by the way? Did you check? Okay, because your mic is not signaling that you're talking when you talk on your mic. Could you just check your settings? Make sure you have the right mic driver assigned to your call. No, I can't hear you. Still cannot hear you. Oh dear, it always happens. Technology. What can I tell you? We will sort it out, I'm sure. So click on settings. Let me share my screen so I can show you. Let me show you. Let me share my screen for you. I just want to share. Selected tab. No, window. There we go. Share. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, it's still okay. When you talk, you see when I talk, I can see the little microphone thing on the right-hand side there near my name. But when you talk, I don't see anything happening here. No, I don't want to mute it. Okay, let me play something on my YouTube channel just to make sure it's not my wait. Okay, let me go on your YouTube channel. Let me just play one of your videos and just make sure. Yeah, I can hear the sound coming from your YouTube channel. So it's definitely the microphone. Okay, let me go into okay, he's gonna come back. All right, cool, awesome. So guys, we're just sorting the microphone things here. Not to worry. Generally, these things do happen from time to time, so it's all good. So yeah, so we'll be starting very soon, guys. Okay, he's back. I still can't hear him though. Okay, let me share my screen again, just to make sure that you did the steps. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, cool. So go to more options, then settings, and make sure that the microphone you choose up here is the correct one for you. Okay, and normally you should see this moving. Do you see this moving when you talk inside your settings? Oh, okay. All right, so he says that he sees everything moving. Okay. Okay, well let me just show you my settings just to show you also. So microphone is the right one, and yeah, it's the right. Okay, let me choose another one then maybe, but it shouldn't be because it should. Okay, talk. Test 1, 2. No, nothing. Talk again. No. Okay. Let me just. Actually, there's a test button here. Let me just click on the test button. Yeah, it works.
Test, test,
So,
test, test, test,
oh, I
test,
can
test,
hear you
test.
now. I
Hello,
can
hello,
hear
hello,
you.
hello, hello, hello,
Okay.
hello,
Yes.
hello,
Yes. Yes.
hello.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, you can hear me. Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I was repeating the same sentence, so it must have been annoying. Sorry.
No, no, no worries, buddy. That's all good. It's technology. You know, we live in 2023, and yet we still have these kind of issues. So, you
Yeah,
know,
we have artificial intelligence VR, but there is still issue with talking into the microphone. It's crazy.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just absolutely mad. And we will be talking about your AI stuff with ChatGPT. I'm really, really excited about this. Guys, so Valem's in the house now. If you guys have any questions for him, of course, please leave them in the comments below. I will stream, sorry, I will stream. I will scroll through the chat as we go by to try and see all the various different questions and stuff like that. Valem, first of all, thank you very much for your time today, for being on the stream. Honestly, I'm really psyched. I'm really, really excited that you're here. I've wanted to meet you for quite some time, to be honest with you. Um,
Oh, thanks.
yeah, and I've been, you know, an avid subscriber of your channel for wow, for quite a long time. I think for more than a year, and I've watched a lot of your videos. I was actually trying to learn how to build a VR game. This was like about a year ago, also, and trying to follow your steps in terms of how to do stuff. So it was really, really educational and really easy to follow and stuff. So thank you very much for being here today. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for watching. But I'm also curious, what did you were trying to make with my tutorials? What kind of VR game were you trying to create on your end?
Well, that's a very good question. I was trying to make a very simple racket fitness game, where
Oh,
basically it was a mix of a mix of a Beat Saber but with tennis. So the balls just come. It was just a very simple thing, right? So balls come towards you and you hit them, and you know there's music pumping, it's disco, very psychedelic, and you know that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's been shelved for a while. I still have the source code.
oh.
I still have the source code. So when I have maybe a little bit more budget and stuff, and we'll talk about that. I'd love to know more about the process of making games and all that kind of stuff with you. So yeah, so just shelve it for the time being, and then later, hopefully we can. And with ChatGPT, by the way, I was able to code a website from scratch. So really want to know your take about AI and how it helps people. And you said that is it going to be possible today to show us a behind the scenes or not as to how you use ChatGPT in
I
Unity?
don't know. Maybe it
Maybe
will depend. No,
it will depend.
I have something a little bit prepared. I have the whole conversation that I made with ChatGPT
Okay.
to create the Beat Saber, the replica.
Right, right,
So
right.
maybe I can show it this, or show maybe also the ChatGPT NPC that I
Oh
made for my
yeah.
last video.
Oh
But
yeah.
I see that my voice is quiet. Is a bit low.
Oh,
Can
uh,
I don't know if it's on my end or I can change it maybe on
let me see
settings.
what I can do. Let me see what I can do.
Yes, voice is quiet,
Okay,
low.
I just put your voice louder on my end, so it should be okay.
Okay,
Let's do a test. Testing 1, 2, guys. If there's any issues with the
testing.
voice, do let us know in the comments below. I just upped his voice, so it should be better.
Yeah, or maybe I can shout if you
No,
want
no, no, no,
for
no, no. Don't
the
shout.
rest
Don't
of the
shout. Don't
talk.
shout. No, no, no need to shout. It's all good. It's all good. There is a little delay. Oh yeah, no, your voice is perfectly good now. In fact, let me just bring it
Okay,
down.
nice, perfect.
Let me just bring it down slightly bit. Okay, so it's more level. There we go. There's a slight little delay, about I would say 30 seconds or 40 seconds or so between the stream and my chat with you. So yeah. So Valem, before we start, I know that a lot of people know you, but maybe you can just introduce yourself, and just let people know who you are, what you do.
Okay, so to sums up, my name is Quentin. So you can tell by my terrible accent that I do speak French, but I'm actually from Belgium, which is the country next to it. And anyway, my job is to make VR games. So I'm a VR developer, and so I started like this, and now I made a YouTube channel that you presented earlier, which focus on VR development. So what I like to do is teach other people about how they can make their own VR game, but also try my own experiment with all sort of possibilities that are possible with the VR. and all of the new functionalities that are coming out lately.
I mean, you've done so many different videos. It's really really staggering in terms of the amount of content that you've put up there. How long does it generally take you to? I mean, not including the VR experiment, right? Because I guess it could take you any time from a day to a week or a month, depending on what you're working on. But in terms of creating your content, because your editing is pretty good as well, how long does it generally take you to push the content out, to
Yeah,
create it and push it out?
it's really. I mean, it's a lot. It's more than I would like it to be. But I mean, when I get started in a
Make the
project,
leap.
I get a little bit carried away and try to take it as far as possible. So usually, what's a bit weird is that the editing time takes more than the developing time. So I
Wow.
can, for example, for example, for the Beat Saber replica.
Yeah.
So
I'm just playing
to
that
sum
video
up
as
the
you're
video.
talking, by the way.
Oh, okay, perfect. That's nice. I didn't know there was like a whole presentation, but anyway. So with this video, the idea was to replicate Beat Saber only following what ChatGPT gave me.
Wow.
So actually, the project took like 2 days to make,
Mm-hmm.
but the editing took like more than a week. Uh, and so I recently hired a good video editor who does this job for me, and which has actually made the editing on this video.
Oh
So
wow.
I'm
Okay.
quite pleased that you like the editing on this one, and I think it did very well. So I'm really happy. But I mean, this was maybe like one of the project that took less time to make,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, I had to follow a strict number of rules. But there's like my latest project on making a ChatGPT NPC was like more than 1 week also. Um, but yeah, it really depends. But
You mean the video or the
even if the
project?
project is small. Oh, the project.
The project.
I mean,
Okay.
even if the development of the project can take from 2 days to like a month,
Right.
but the editing part is always the really, really, really long. But I guess that you know this because you must edit the video as well. So it's really, it takes a lot of time.
I honestly I love your NPC video. I laughed so much about it, and I saw, from the beginning when the mouth wasn't done properly until you got him to be able to look
Yeah.
more human. Uh, I just thought that was so hilarious. I mean, the whole concept of it, was really amazing. And guys, do stick in the live stream as we will be, excuse me, diving deeper into what inspired him into making this project and what kind of challenges he had and all these kind of different things and how he sees AI taking part in the development of gaming. But first, before we go there, I want to talk more about when you first started. So you said that you started off as a developer. So did you start when you were studying, or what? Are you working as a developer, or you were studying as a developer? How does it go for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, it was already a long time ago because VR is moving really fast. But anyway, I finished my studies. I did study mathematics and computer science,
Oh wow,
and
okay.
afterwards, I was like trying to find a job. And so the kind of job that I could find was about statistics and all of that kind of area, which was a bit annoying to me. So I found a post which was in my local university,
Yeah.
which was about making VR, making VR game for the university.
Oh
So to
really?
study some field. Yeah, yeah. So for
Wow, that's
example,
really awesome.
uh, one of the projects that I found really fascinating was that they used VR to help people overcome their own fear. So, for
Right.
example, if you are afraid of spiders,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to a uh, how do we say this in English? A psychiatrist, someone that studies your behavior.
Right.
Anyway,
Psychology.
he will try to put you far next to a spider, and will try to understand the behavior that you have uh,
Right.
from it.
Right.
But
Right.
using VR, what you can is put the person in the control environment
Mm-hmm.
and try to you can make a gigantic spider, for example, or
Right.
a really small one,
Mm-hmm.
and you can like study better the behavior of the people. And I think that the number of therapy session that was needed is like cut in half. And so that was a bit like my first experimentation with VR,
Right.
to I didn't know anything about it from this, and then on the side of working at the university,
Hmm.
I had also to help some students, but it was taking me a lot of time to do this.
Right,
So
I can
instead, what I
imagine.
did
Yeah.
was like post a video on YouTube and say and tell to everybody to go watch it, and that's how I made my first YouTube video. And for some reason, it took or in like 1 year it took like 10,000 views, which I didn't expect it, as the
Right.
video was really really bad. But from there people were asking questions, and so I keep on going.
Did you
I,
work with someone on that project, or did you do it on your own? Like, did you work with a psychiatrist or someone
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
university with you to develop it together?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, how that worked was like we were trying to see the potential of this technology. So
Right.
it was a few years ago. So nobody knew what is gonna be like, and
Right.
so we try to see the field that it was useful.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, we made yes in this kind of for helping people overcome their fear. So
Mm-hmm.
we are trying to work as a developer, but with other field as well, field expert, I must say. But it was not only that. We worked also with architecture. We worked with economics. We tried to understand the behavior of, for example, if someone try to run,
Mm-hmm.
how does he perceive like the positive or negative word that you know on I'm sorry, I'm a bit all over the
It's
place,
okay.
but
No worries.
I'm
We're
trying
here. We're
to
listening to you.
I'm trying to think back what I did.
Breathe.
You
Take a
know,
breath.
I, do
Like
you?
Darth
I don't know
Vader,
if
you
you have
know.
this in your. I don't know if you have these stairs in your country where there are like
We
some
have
words.
stairs. Yes,
Uh,
Singapore has stairs.
yeah, you have
I
stairs.
confirm that Singapore has stairs.
Okay, crazy. But do you have like, for example, words that say you will burn 100 calories if you take the stairs
Right.
instead of the escalator?
Yes.
And so you have the choose. You can choose between walking the stair or taking
Right.
the escalator.
Right.
And so we were trying to understand this behavior also with the VR set. So you can see that it was a bit, I mean, a bit crazy. We didn't know what was the application of this technology at the time,
Right.
but it was really fun because it made me do kind of all kind of experimentation,
Experiments.
which I'm still doing today. So yeah, that was a pretty fun first job, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
So
So the thing is, back in the day, were there any like? How did you learn? So you learn basic coding. I mean, you did computer science. So did you learn what kind of coding language did you learn as part of the course to adapt that into VR? Because I guess there weren't any VR YouTube tutorials at the time, or were they? I mean, how did you manage to
yeah,
adapt to that changing technology?
so to make a VR game, you need a VR headset, but you need also a game engine, which is something to make a game and adapt it for the VR build. But so VR was new, but Unity wasn't.
Right.
So I mean, half of the job was pre-done. So I was a big fan at the time of Brackeys, which
Mm-hmm.
is I guess the biggest Unity tutorial teacher. But unfortunately, I think he stopped making videos a while back, like 1 or 2 years ago, which is a bit sad.
Yeah, I think he
But
did.
there was already this, yeah. And then after this, I just had to read a lot of documentation to try to make the first VR tutorials at the time. And now I think that there are more and more people making content about it, not only about VR hardware, but also about how to make VR game, which is super fun for me to see all of this little niche trying to, get bigger and bigger. And it's kind of very satisfying, uh,
And of
in
course,
just a few years, I mean.
hmm and of course, VR since then, I guess, has become huge in the medical industry in helping people to relax, to meditate, to be creative, to do all these kind of different things. I mean, of course, the gaming sector is exploded, but it's great to see that you started in something that actually equally has exploded, but just on a different level. It's not really something that we get to see because when we go to our local GP, our local doctor, there's no VR headset there yet, right? But they do a lot, especially Pico, and we'll talk about Pico and get your thoughts about them and stuff later. But they partnered with people like XR Health, with hundreds, dozens of different hospitals all over the world to produce content that actually is all about trying to help people on a medicinal and psychological level. So I think that's pretty interesting. What kind of headset were you using back then when you were doing your first experiments?
I think at the time it was the two. So the first Oculus Rift,
Right.
the old one,
Okay.
which has not this one. I mean, with the I think
Is
it's
this a
maybe
Quest
behind
1?
me. Oh, maybe you remember these kind of things. Uh, you know,
Oh
it
wow,
was the
yes.
VR set with this thing, which
Right. Wow.
at the time was so horrible to set up because you had to
Right.
like place it on your desk and try not to move too much and try to have and if I remember, you had to put like two on the desk, but
Right.
if you were going to the other side of the room, they
Mm.
could not track you, so it was a bit terrible. And I mean, it was like I'm 4 years ago, maybe
Right. Yeah, it wasn't
maybe
that
less,
long ago. That's
so
true.
it's crazy. But it was at the time this one, I think, the Oculus Rift,
Hmm.
and also the HTC Vive, or earlier again the like the Google Cardboard, which
Hmm.
was terrible, with the phone that you had to put
It
inside.
was amazing. I remember when that thing came out. Like everyone wanted one,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was cheap,
and
so
we
there
had
is
to
that.
make it,
But
right? Do you remember
yeah,
making
yeah,
your own? Like we literally had to take it out the box and like put the box together so that it looks like a headset. It's not like you could buy it and it was a cardboard
yeah,
VR
exactly.
headset
It was
already
like
done,
the
right?
IKEA of VR headsets.
Yeah, exactly. IKEA VR headset. Couldn't have said it better. And since then, how have you? I mean, you've been a witness in terms of the evolution of VR. What are some of the things that have really made you go, wow, this is just like I wish we had that 4 years ago. You know what? And how do you see VR going?
So something interesting that I see in most headset, and you talked about the Vision Pro, and I think that it confirmed this direction, is that we've shifted from something which was typically only VR, and which was VR for gaming. So
Mm-hmm.
it was, I mean, first it was like a PlayStation, but that you put on your face,
Right.
and now it's shifting to like something a bit broader, but it's also getting more and more to the mixed reality size that I must say. So, and it is proved by the Vision Pro, which now has a color pass-through, and I think it's really interesting because I guess there is not much things done in terms of mixed reality that worked. The only thing that I can think of, which was kind of big and which was a lot of time ago, which was Pokemon Go on the phone for augmented reality. And I mean, there is not a good for me game which was made for mixed reality, and it's maybe where the future of this technology will be in a few years. And I hope that with the Vision Pro we can see the first game and the first application which will use it to its full capacity. But with the price tag, I mean, it will be hard to democratize this thing a lot. So maybe in 2 to 3 years, depends on the VR set that will be present, we'll see not just VR game, not just VR application, but a whole ecosystem using mixed reality. And I guess it's where I believe this technology will go.
Do you think that Meta didn't capitalize on the opportunity to really make mixed reality their own? Because it seems that Apple, when they announced the spatial computing, it was like, wow, everyone thought it's them who invented this thing, created this thing, and going to own this thing. But actually, to be fair to Meta, they've been doing so much experimentation in this space for so many different years. I mean, I know that Apple have also, it's just that they never announced it to the world, right? I mean, they've been working on this thing for 10 years apparently, or 12 years now. But, Meta could have had the opportunity to really capitalize and make it their own. Do you think that, do you feel that Meta,
Oh, sorry, I cannot hear you. Maybe.
Testing, testing, testing.
Oh, okay, I can hear you now.
Am I back? Okay, sorry, I
The
knocked my
suspense
microphone.
is killing me.
Yes, this is. No, I was just wondering whether you thought if Meta lost the opportunity to capitalize on really owning the mixed reality space, as it seems that Apple are kind of now taking the leap in owning that space. What do you think? What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's sure that Apple presented a bit better. That's for sure. With they did a way better job at showing us or to anybody, in fact, the capacity of a VR headset and of pass through actually. Um, but I mean, it really depends now on the response that Meta will have in the next month. So it's like a little fight that's going on. We see that Meta is releasing a VR headset, then Apple does something a bit contrary because we don't have. It's just end tracking, and there is already the path through, but it's not cheap. So what what's kind of weird for me, but I'm not an hardware expert. So what I find a bit weird is that they could do the comparison with the Meta Quest Pro, but now they are trying to remove it. So I don't know what they are planning to do. Maybe they will make something better. Maybe it will be with the Quest 3. But but you're right on saying that I think they missed the
Opportunity.
opportunity
Opportunity.
to show the opportunity to really do something great in mixed reality space with the color path through directly on the Quest 2. But I mean, the Quest 2 is already old. It's crazy how fast it evolved. And so I'm here waiting for the Quest 3 to see what will happen in this space. If really there will be a big difference between these two headsets and how the market will adapt. But I mean, I feel like already we have some nice mixed reality game that are coming out. I think like something like Cubism,
Yeah,
which is made
cubism.
by another Belgium guys, and which is doing a great job as having you try to solve puzzle
It's been
in
very
mixed
interesting to
reality.
see his development because
Yeah,
he started off just doing a very simple thing. I think he was on App Lab at the beginning, and then he's really shaped his game over the last I think couple years. It must be now something like that.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know if you see, but he made a game recently, which is we still working on, which is called Laser Dance, and
Oh,
it's like
okay.
and it's something very really interesting because I think he's headed to the right space at the right time because
Right.
it's using augmented reality.
Yes.
So you are kind in your living room,
Hmm.
and there are laser pointing everywhere, and your goal is to like a thief, try
Oh,
to not
okay.
touch any laser, and go from one point to another. It's like this whole party game, which is really fun.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm super stoked to see how this game will perform because, in my opinion, it could be like the Beat Saber of mixed reality,
Right. Right.
for the new wave of what VR can, of what the modern VR set can offer. So, it can be really interesting to see where it goes.
There are a couple of VR experiences that I saw in mixed reality. The first one, which is I think quite famous, is Dimeo. Do you play Dimeo? Are you a DMO?
Oh, I didn't know, but how do the mail? I will.
I believe it's available on the Quest Pro in mixed reality. I'm not quite sure
Uh,
if it's the actual game that's available or whether it's a demo that's available. If anyone knows, do leave a comment in the chat. By the way, just want to welcome Expo Dev. Hello, Expo Dev. How are you doing? Where are you from? We're here live in Singapore, and Valem is in France, right?
Belgium, Belgium.
Oh, you're in Belgium. Okay, cool. Um, okay, awesome. Okay, yeah, and the other one is sorry, I lost my train of thought there. The other game was Tribe XR, which is, I believe, also available to play on the Quest Pro as a mixed reality experience. But again, I'm not quite sure if it's a demo or whether it's the actual game itself because they've been showing a lot of videos on their Twitter. Tribe XR is basically a DJing app, so you can do some DJ stuff and all these kind of things. And we were talking with Mighty Coconut about a walkabout mini golf if potentially they would do something using mixed reality. So it's potentially something they could be working on. So quite excited to
Oh,
see what they'll do in the future if they're going to be doing anything there. But let's come back to you. I have some questions about
Oh, sorry, I cannot hear you anymore.
Test, test, test. Can you hear me? Okay,
Perfect.
cool. Just wanted to know what are some of the most memorable videos that or projects that you've worked on and that you posted on your YouTube channel? Because for me, for example, one of the ones that was the most memorable was the one you did where you turned your house into a VR game. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal, and it really, really went viral. This video.
Yeah, it was really a super fun video to make. I think it was like kind in the middle of the pandemic, you know, before like the whole metaverse things.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is the reason that the video took off. It's because it was just at the right time for the metaverse boom, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's kind of the first mixed reality example before there was like the path through and all that thing. So it was really fun also to, you know, in VR you don't have the the haptic feedback when you
Mm-hmm.
touch an object, but
Right.
it was just mesmerizing, you know, to be close to a wall and just to extend your hands and feel the wall that was also in front of you
In VR,
in
in real
VR. So
life.
it was really weird. Yeah.
Yeah, because you basically mapped your entire home, right? And then
Yeah, exactly.
modeled it back into I mean, you make your video, yeah, you make everything seem so easy. That's I think what's amazing about your videos. And then you try to go and do it, and you're like, after 20 minutes, you're like, I mean, if you're not someone who's experienced, you're like, forget it. You know, I'm just gonna put it aside. I'll come back to it in a year or two when I know more about how to do
Yeah,
stuff.
but that's the reason that I make tutorials also for all of my videos on the main channel. I'm
Right.
trying also to put some content for the people who are really curious to know how
Mm-hmm.
to do this themselves. So I'm trying to give both, you know, the kind of quick and easy to follow video on the main channel, but also give the tutorials on the side, which I hope helps some people. But yeah, this was really a fun project. I should try to do something with it. And I mean, there should be also some games which could be made with this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but talking also about a really cool project that I this was something which I didn't expect to go this viral.
Mm-hmm.
But something that I really like also to do was a bit recent is the largest VR game um, in the world, and it was a video where the goal was to like take an Oculus Quest
Mm-hmm.
and remove the boundaries and try to see what would happen if you have no guardian around the player.
Right.
Uh, is it possible to know to have kind of an infinite game where you can walk inside a game, or would happen what would happen? And this was something that I tried to make, and which was really fun, but also a bit dangerous because I end up on top of a bike, you know, around a racing track, trying to
Really?
have my yeah. I had like this VR set on,
Uh-huh.
and I couldn't see anything
Right.
except for what's inside the game,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like pedaling on top of my bike, and which was a bit dangerous, but it was really fun also. And that's something also that I feel like could potentially be uh, another fun experimentation for a real game. Um, but I mean, it's always the same. It's not the kind of idea that took some time. It's to actually keep working on it and try to release the game. It's like the thing that take the most of the time.
Right. And also, how do you plan the projects that you're doing? Because YouTube, as we know, the algorithm is a beast. We need to keep feeding it, and we need to keep feeding it the right food. Because if it's the wrong food, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, YouTube's algorithm just doesn't care about us. To be honest with you, right? It's a very narcissistic beast. This YouTube algorithm, right? It just cares about itself. So as long as we give it what it wants, then it kind of helps us. But if we just give it whatever, it just doesn't care about us. So how do you go about choosing the projects? Do you choose it based on how much potential views you could get from the video, or is it really based on what you want to learn, what knowledge you're looking to grow as a developer? How do you go about this process?
So most of the time, I just have an idea in mind, which comes from, I mean, the state of the technology, some Reddit post. I don't know, someone asking in the comment section if it's possible, and I try to see if it's possible, and from that I can understand if it's a good video idea or a bad video idea. But you are right, the algorithm is really is a beast, like you said. And at first, that's the reason that I made two channel. At first, I had like one main channel which was doing both. You know, the big video which are meant to be watched for everybody, and the more technical one where I show more the tutorial
It's called Valem
side.
tutorials, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that I decided to separate them to kind of help the
Right.
algorithm understand what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so here my goal is to like post one tutorials per week on Valem tutorials,
Mm-hmm.
and one video per month on the main channel,
Right.
and try to, but it's not always that easy. So I'm struggling every time that I post a video, because I always get a bit too much carried away by the project,
Right.
and even the result, even if it doesn't show all of the work that I did in the project, there is also a lot behind the curtains. But yeah, algorithm is the YouTube algorithm is not something really kind. But I'm happy to have this kind of following, even if the video don't perform like 1 million views. I'm really happy to have at least some passionate, some people passionate about VR and VR development watching my videos. So I'm really grateful.
Do you see that since you started, there's been a peak? Do you find that there's more and more people who are actually wanting to learn how to code games in VR, or do you think it's kind of plateaued? Where do you think we are in this space at this time in terms of people who want to be
Yeah.
involved in this in VR
So
development?
there is like I don't know, the Gardner curve. There is a
Yeah,
curve that says about
yeah.
a technology which kind of says. I need to take it back. I don't know
The
if you
Gardner curve, yes.
Gardner curve.
Gardner
Yes,
curve, yes.
exactly.
That's right.
Gardner curve.
C'est Gardner.
Yes. Gardner. You do speak French, right?
Oui,
Or
oui.
am I? Oh, perfect. We can
Yes.
finish in French if you want.
We can try if everyone else in the chat is okay with it. We can talk some French later, sure. So stay tuned, guys, as we will do some French talking later, but not for long. Yeah. So the Gardner curve.
Yes, so the Gardner curve is basically you have like the peak of inflated expectation,
That's right.
and then you go down through the disillusionment.
Yes.
So it's where the technology does not respond really well to the environment. So like self-driving car will be the future.
That's
Oh,
right.
but there is kind of lots of problem. Oh
Mhm.
yes, and it's only at the end that you have the slope of alignment,
Yes.
which will basically be the moment where the technology responds really well to a real problem,
Yep.
not just be something uh,
I have a picture
useless.
on screen so the others can actually see the Gardner curve
That's
as well.
perfect. Thank you. You're doing a great job at helping me. But anyway, so for me, we are going to the plateau of productivity right now.
Mhm.
I can really feel how, based on the people that, based on the work that I did previously,
Mhm.
and simply based on the people that were trying to uh, to to uh, to get this technology started,
Mhm.
that now people are starting to understand the possibilities that can be done, not
Right.
only in video game, but as we talked earlier, on all kind of industry.
Mhm.
But I mean, there are kind of part of this technology that we don't really know uh, the use yet. And if I must say, I really felt like there was quite a boom of this technology during the pandemic. That's where
Right.
I had a lot of eyes on the VR tutorials. But for some reason, and I don't want to be mean to Mark Zuckerberg, but with the whole metaverse things, it kind of had a lot of attraction, but not for the good reason.
You mean
I don't know
Horizon?
if no, I mean for the people were really interested with the virtual reality,
Right.
because of the boom of the metaverse,
Mhm.
but they were also quite
Oh, you
not
mean when they
understanding.
changed the name to Meta?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
So people
Got it.
thought that yeah, oh, I don't know why they are changing. Maybe virtual reality is the next thing, so I must try to learn what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not like yeah, the metaverse did a bad reputation, I must say, for VR in general. Um, but I mean, it's my opinion. Maybe you disagree with this, but I feel like it kind of did a bad effects. People were kind of confused of what VR was.
Mm-hmm.
They try to they confused the two. So metaverse and VR, they thought that the two were the same, and which is not. And I think it kind of diminished the hues and the authenticity and what VR could really offer, beside being a social media platform.
No, I agree, and also especially less so today, but back then when Facebook changed their name to Meta, I remember that for a whole year, all I could see on my LinkedIn feed or on Twitter was people trying to define what the metaverse is, and
Yeah, exactly.
and I thought that was also very confusing because even industry professionals weren't able to actually say what it really was in a clear way, and you can just imagine the general public who are not geeks like us, right? We love technology. We find quite easy to understand these kind of things to a certain degree. But the general public, a lot of them don't really care about a lot of the stuff we care a lot about. So
Hmm.
they were even more confused by the whole thing. I think now I don't really see a lot of people trying to explain what it is. I think people kind of understand that, well, the metaverse is just a virtual way of communication, and then there are just different tools available to do that. And then when you see people like Apple coming into the space, it just excites people because I mean I don't know about Belgium, but in Asia, Apple is like gold. You know, people really aspire to Apple. The culture here is all about people what we call showing face or saving face, which means that they will literally buy put all their life savings into a car that will cost them 200,000 US dollars or 200,000 euros, but they can't really afford to pay their rent, just so that when they go to a meeting, they appear, successful, something like that. So a lot
Hmm.
of these brands are very aspirational to the Asian culture. Even if they can't afford an iPhone or something, they'll just buy it because their friends might have one, or they just don't want to feel they portray that they're poor or that they're not at a specific level, right? So Apple's really going to bring that, I think, to especially the Asian culture, but I'm not quite sure about the European and the Western culture, how they'll perceive.
No, yeah, I think it's a bit the same. So Apple is really the reputation of Apple. I mean, is kind of global, and for them to make a VR headset really prove that there is uh, something important in this technology, and it kind of confirm a bit what a lot of people like you and me were thinking uh, for a long time, and to see it going to that direction is really a great idea. I mean, it's not that there is a new VR headset that is on the market. Is that a giant like Apple has decided to look at it, which is really important, and emphasize the role that this technology will have in the future. And that's something really interesting because they seem to already have a plan. They talk with the in the when they talked about when they announced the headset, they talk that Unity also partner with them to
Yes,
try to create games,
which I think
which
is
is really
great.
interesting. Yeah, it was a great news for me because I'm making Unity tutorials for VR,
Right.
and just out of the blue, they just say, "Oh, and by the way, we will work with Unity to make VR games." So I'm so happy with this news already, because also I don't know for consumer side, but on the developer side, making a VR game was always a mess because so many people try to make a VR headsets. And so if you want to make a VR game, you had to do a lot of work to make it work for a particular headset. And so more and more I can see that the people are making the tools to have something like, okay, you have your game, which, and if it works for one headset, it can work for all of them.
Right.
And so this is really a great news. Obviously it doesn't take into account that some headset can have like pass through, some
Hmm.
don't, but it's really a great news for VR developer like me. And I think in the future I really hope that it will keep on going in that direction, so that we'll be able to make more and more games and deliver more products.
I wanted to ask you about OpenXR because it was supposed to be released on Unity. Is it now something that is there that's adopted in all the headsets, or is it still not there yet?
So actually, I don't know for so it's there. So we have OpenXR for most of VR headset, like the
So just for those who
Meta
don't know
Quest, for
what
example.
OpenXR's tool is supposed to be for, can you just explain it to them?
Yeah, so OpenXR is maybe so imagine that you have Meta, which has their own tools to make game for their headsets. You have like Vive, you have like Pico, which have their own tools. And at first, like I just explained, at first you had to like change every time the code of your game to make it work for one particular headset. But hopefully they had a great idea to launch OpenXR, which is a backend system that can make that handles how a VR headset works. And so it means that if I make a VR game with OpenXR, by default I can make it work for most of the VR headset on the market. And for some reason, Apple didn't talk about OpenXR during the announcement, which is a bit odd, and maybe it will be a good question to answer in a few months, maybe before the release.
Yeah.
But Unity has already talked about their polyspatial tools, which will be there to help make game on the Vision Pro. But I'm not really sure about their take on OpenXR, because Apple has their own way of dealing with their own system.
Right.
So you have Android, for example, on the phone that works for most of the phone out there. And by the way, a Quest use also Android.
Pico also,
But
right?
yeah, Pico as well, exactly. But Apple doesn't. So
Right.
maybe they will. That's like a big difference between the two.
I find it amazing
Um,
that Apple, honestly speaking, have been able to be so popular, because the way that you transfer files and all these kind of things is actually quite problematic. I mean, I prefer to use my PC to a lot of degrees as a content creator, because transferring files is a nightmare with Apple devices, to be honest with you.
yeah, exactly.
A simple thing like drag and drop a file from a phone to a PC should be really easy, or the codec of the file. I shouldn't have to go and upload it to another website somewhere and then wait 5 minutes or 10 minutes or sometimes half an hour, depending on on how big the file is, to convert it so that I can actually read it after I render it, or I import it into my Adobe whatever software. I mean, they've really made it so complicated for content creators. So I hope, like you said, that they'll make it easy for developers, because otherwise, how are people supposed to create games easily?
Yeah, exactly.
But I wanted to ask you, let's turn a little bit more towards the AI part, okay? A lot of chat in the ecosystem that's scaring quite a lot of people, in fact, is the fact that AI could replace, someone's job. So my first question to you is, do you think that's true, or do you see AI being something that is actually helping developers to create even better games?
I mean, we can take the opposite and say, will AI, if AI does not replace any job, what's the point of having to make AI? So I mean, it's weird, because I think it will of course replace some actual job, but it doesn't mean that there will be no job left for human, as it was already the case with most of the recent technology coming out. Um, but even if it's scary, I mean, like you said, you were capable of making some website. Is that right, with Chat GPT? And it's too exciting for me to know that now with this kind of technology, I can basically do anything that I want, to not feel. Uh, I mean, it's overpassed the fear that I have about this technology at the moment. But maybe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe AI will take over the world in a few years, maybe days. But yeah, it's a bit scary. But I'm more on the optimist spectrum regarding this technology, and I really hope that humanity will adapt, and maybe we will have uh, less hard and tedious job to make. Maybe it will on the opposite, improve the creativity of our job, because when you are like reading and writing email, it's not like writing a novel, you know. So I hope that with this new AI coming out, we'll try to kind of remove the boring aspect of any job and try to focus on the creativity aspect, which is a bit my goal.
But do you think, because there's two sides. The first one is that there are applications now where, okay, it's still infancy, but you could literally write a prompt and then the game just makes itself. I can't remember. I forgot to take the website name. It was Asteroid. I believe it's an asteroid game where it's a 2D, and then you just tell it what you want, and it creates the spaceships for you. It creates the assets for you, and it also creates the gameplay for you, which I thought was very interesting. Of course, it's just a very simple asteroids game, so you just control the little rocket, and then you pew pew pew. You destroy the the asteroids, right? There's no like story, or it's not like a Half-Life Alyx kind of thing. But if you think about it, what is different between a 2D game and Half-Life Alyx in terms of the graphics and all that? It's still using more or less the same engines. You could make a very simple 2D game using Unity, as much as you could have a supercomputer in your office that renders images 4K, 8K, and make them look amazing, as Half-Life Alyx was able to do. So in principle, it would be as easy to create a Half-Life Alyx as it would be to create an asteroids game. Is that something that excites you, or something that you think is going to be problematic? And also, do you see that there's another part of the question? Do you think that people like Meta or Pico, who are supposed to be platforms of distribution to create content, right? Now, the only reason why they're successful is, of course, because of the content that is provided by them, but they take a fee, which means that by taking a fee, they actually lose out on 70%, because they charge, generally speaking, about 30% or 40% maybe. I'm not quite sure on the deal, but even if it's 40%, they would still lose out 60% of the revenue if they created the game themselves, right? So do you think if one day, we can just put a prompt and say, right, create Half-Life Alyx for me, right? And here's the story, here's what I want, blah, 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 and it creates the assets for you and everything. Do you think also that it means that people like Meta or Pico eventually will just create their own games without having to necessarily need people to fill up their libraries?
So it's a really good question. I mean, it really depends on how it will evolve. For what I can say about what's happening now with Chat GPT and the little experimentation that I did of trying Chat GPT to remake a popular VR game like Beat Saber, is that even if so the goal for me was like to give absolutely no input about how I'd like to remake Beat Saber. And maybe I can also share the screen to show a bit the conversation that I had
yeah, of course you
with
can. Definitely.
It could be a great idea, because what I must say is that it felt a bit disconnected, so without the human touch, without me being there to help him a little bit go to the good direction, sometimes it was stuck, or didn't know what to do next, or it kind of went into cycle. And it really felt like, it's good at doing summarization, but really bad for coming out with the new things,
right.
Which doesn't mean that it's not quite impressive. So I can maybe try to.
And guys, do stay around, because we will be talking more about his use of AI with Unity in some of the experiments that he actually built on his channel whilst he's looking for the file that he's doing. So do hang tight, guys, as we will be diving more into the AI world of game making and how it actually helps game developers.
I can maybe show my whole screen. It will be a bit easier. To l'écran.
Yeah, take your time. So just want to welcome everybody to the stream. Thank you very much for being here. We're here with wizard developer Valem, who's based in Belgium. And his real name is Quentin, right?
Exactly.
Cool, I got it right. So, so we're talking about basically everything and anything about the VR development side of gaming. and AI and all that kind of stuff.
And can you see my screen right now?
Yes, I can. Let me just see if I can make it bigger.
Oh,
I could, but now it's gone. Oh,
perfect.
it's back. Okay.
So to show it a little bit, you can see this project, right?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so this is for the people that are not familiar with Unity. This is where I make VR game.
Mm-hmm.
And so here you have, for example, a little replica of Beat Saber.
So
You
this
have
is his
little
Unity,
saber.
and he created a video that he put on his YouTube channel. Let me just show you guys just very quickly before we dive into what he's explaining. So his YouTube channel, by the way, everybody, is Valem, and he has another one called Valem Tutorials. So do go and check out and subscribe and spam his comments telling him that you came from VR Essentials. And so he created a video here, can AI code Beat Saber? Watch Chat GPT. So basically he was trying to use Chat GPT to create a Beat Saber-like game. So he's just showing us some behind the scenes stuff. Okay, take it away.
Yeah, and exactly. So here you have the Unity product. And so here all of the code that was made
So that's your Unity
in this
software, right?
project.
Which is a software, it's a
Yeah,
game engine for those who are not familiar to actually create games.
yeah, exactly. And so basically what you do is create object, play
Mm-hmm.
them on the scene, and add some script. So do a little bit of coding to make the component of your game. So just to give you an example, if I go up to the Saber, you have here a Saber script
Mm-hmm.
that was actually made by, from start to finish, by Chat GPT,
Oh,
which is
interesting.
really
Okay.
impressive. And if I can maybe show you
So what
an
what did you
example.
tell? What is the script supposed to do?
Yeah, so for example, this Saber script, if I believe, if I just show it back, this Saber script here, its goal is to slash the cube.
Right.
So I don't have my VR set, but maybe if I click on play, you will see some cube spawning over there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So he's just explaining to
there
us
you
that
go.
basically he's used ChatGPT, the AI developed by OpenAI, as part of his Unity project to create scripts so that it can generate certain events inside of the gameplay.
So you have here all of the cube that are spawning, and this was also actually made by ChatGPT. And
Wow.
basically, the Saber script here is there to cut the cube in half, like in Beat Saber. And so maybe I can show you here the little discussion that I had with ChatGPT. And so my first question was, can you describe how to create the game Beat Saber using the Unity game engine? And so this was his first response. He gave me like a 9 point on how to remake Beat Saber. He said to me that I needed to use Unity to set up my project for VR, to add some game mechanism with the saber, the blocks, and the sliding, and to implement audio synchronization, blah, blah, blah. And so my next question was, okay, so can you be a bit more descriptive about how I can do this? And like it would be the case if I was the one following tutorials,
Mm-hmm.
it actually did and made a step-by-step experimentation. Oh, sorry, it's a bit down below. Yeah, there you go. On this answer, so I was asking, thanks, can you describe better the step 3 about recreating the VR environment? And so what he did was a step-by-step tutorials on how to set up VR for making the Beat Saber replica.
Right.
And this only was really impressive, I must say, because I make VR tutorials for a living,
Right.
if you say, and it kind of replace a little bit the explanation and sums up what I would have shown in the video.
Right.
So this is really interesting. And by the way, you will see that after in the video,
Mm-hmm.
I actually used ChatGPT to summarize tutorials of someone else and try to explain to me how I could remake it. So it's actually really helpful also to guide you inside the tutorials. And anyway, after talking about all of these things,
Mm-hmm.
it was a little bit of a chat on how to recreate the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another kind of weird stuff. So if I show you back the project,
Mm-hmm.
uh, are you familiar with what a shader is?
Yes. Personally, I am. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so a shader is basically a script that tells how an object will looks like in your game. So will it have some lighting? Will it has a texture, a
Mm-hmm.
normal map, a smoothness, all that kind of stuff? And what you can do in Unity is instead of coding the all things with your bare hands by writing the code
Right.
line per line,
Mm-hmm.
what you can do is use this little box to kind of um, make it more visual. So for
Right.
example, I drag here the normal from height to the multiply node
Mm-hmm.
and drag it back to the normal things here, and it will basically do the same things as coding.
Mm-hmm.
And what was a bit weird is that actually ChatGPT could do this also. you know
Right.
so the question was like, using text symbol, can you describe how this shader graph looks like in node base, which is the tool used to
What you
create
just showed
shader in
us,
this
right?
way. And this was actually his response. So he could actually, by using text symbol, draw a little arrow and tell me how the shader could look like. And this was something really weird because ChatGPT is known for some detailed explanation. And you talked a bit more. We talked earlier about how um, this technology could evolve,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's really a point where it could really help. It's in doing some visualization, like it's already doing here pretty poorly, but it's kind of impressive
That's very
uh,
interesting. So basically, what
already.
you're saying is that it helps you in your planning visually with your shaders, as well as your coding if you need to do any
Yeah.
scripting for something. I'd actually I hadn't thought about using ChatGPT in that way in terms of how to organize your shaders. That's pretty interesting because a lot of people use Blender as well, which requires a lot of these kind of node-based kind of program, right? So I guess it would be pretty useful for that application or even Nuke. Um,
Mhm. Yeah,
right.
exactly. And so see, it's more than text based that you can generate with ChatGPT. So you have some small graph,
Mm-hmm.
and the next step was like to ask him to make a 3D model.
Mm-hmm.
And the question was, can you describe an OBJ file that will looks like one of the hollow square from Beat Saber environment?
Right.
And so to recall it, this is the square over there. So these are the square that were made. I can maybe highlight them
I mean,
a
can you
little bit
imagine if
better.
the guys who created Beat Saber would have had ChatGPT in those days? Like, how far they could have actually taken. I mean, it
Yeah.
maybe wouldn't
So
have been as popular as what it is today. To be honest with you, it would have maybe been super complicated, but because it is a
yeah,
very simple
exactly.
game, right? And I think that's why it appealed to so
Mhm.
many different people. But that would have been so. I would love to. I mean, would you love to ask them that question if you get to meet them one day? Hey, what would you have done
Yeah.
if you used ChatGPT?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's a good question, but and that's something also that I learned in this project is that
Right.
yes, I could recreate a Beat Saber with ChatGPT. It is actually possible without knowing too much about VR development. But it also taught me that it's not the power of a VR game is not in the code and the environment that it's made. It's on the design and the work that was made in the thinking of all of the interaction.
Right.
So and that's something that I feel like an AI could not have thought on its own. Is this kind of idea, this new idea of slashing tube to the beat? It's something really nice which works really well in VR, and there is no doubt that it's one of the most successful VR game of all time. But I mean, that's something that an AI for me would not have been able to do. It can easily copy something. It can easily learn from something else. It can easily tell you how to do a step-by-step process to try to get close to it,
Right.
but to recreate its own design and have the ID from start. I don't believe. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will be in the future, but I don't believe it can do this for the moment
But the
as
shading,
well.
the shading that you have in your Unity project there seems pretty spot on in terms of the colors and also the depth of field with the special effect of the bloom and
Yeah,
the fog. It looks pretty spot on in that respect in terms of when they first came out with the first version, because I know now is a bit more intricate and a lot more moving things and stuff. But when it first came out, it was very simple. It was very much like what we see there. So it gave you
yeah.
the correct values from the get go, or did you have to do a lot of adjustment?
So I had to actually cheat a little bit on this part to make it look a bit more nicer on the video on YouTube. Actually, if we go to the other side, you can see that the cube are only rendered on one side, which is
Oh, okay.
another thing that is hidden from the
That's the magic
from the
of game
player.
development, right?
Yeah, and there is quite a little bit of tuning that I did to make it a bit more. I must say, I'm not saying it's impossible for ChatGPT to do this, but I had to kind of tweak some elements on my end uh, for the game to take shape a bit faster, I must
Mm-hmm.
say. Um, but it was, I mean, it was for me just a cheat to finish the game a bit quicker
Right.
because if you know, the first try that he made, the shader was good enough, but I wanted to make it a bit more better. So I went, for example, in the smoothness settings that you
Mm-hmm.
can see here,
Yeah.
and the smoothness setting adds a little bit of reflection on the right
Right.
corner, and so when he first made the smoothness parameter, he didn't set a proper value for this one, and
Right.
so I did it myself, you know. But if I was to make a few words to him
Mm-hmm.
to say, oh, what do you feel like smoothness value would be best to for this environment? Do you think it will be 1 or 2? I think it could do a pretty good job at so.
Right.
Not maybe as far as I was able to make it here, but I mean all except for the little tweak of the component,
Mm-hmm.
like I just shown you for the smoothness.
Yeah.
All of the parts are made by ChatGPT.
Right.
These are cube made from ChatGPT. These are cube that was told by ChatGPT to place over there. I had to add some particles by the ChatGPT recommendation. The
Right.
same goes for the fog that's far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything else, but yeah.
So, if you hadn't used ChatGPT, how would you say how much time did you save using this AI tool? Like, I mean, it would be very
Sorry.
interesting if you did a video. Sorry, it'd be very interesting if you did a video. I think. Let me know if I'm wrong, where you
Mm.
actually do a project where one you use ChatGPT and one you don't, just to prove to people where you save
Yes,
time, whether you do save time, or whether in the grand scheme of things
actually,
you don't really save
I
time.
did. I did a long time ago.
Oh,
It
okay.
was like one of my first video, and it was a challenge among a developer, which was like remaking a game
Hmm.
in 10 minutes.
Oh, I
And
remember that video.
and
Yes,
I
yes, that
did
was a very
a
cool
little
video.
bit of but it was a really terrible version of Beat Saber, and I did it in like 10 minutes.
I remember that
uh,
video. Yeah.
it was terrible, but I mean, it's a good question. I am for some things. I'm sure I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but there are parts that as a VR developer, I have some experience in how to make a VR game, and I didn't want to use this experience to kind of guide ChatGPT in the bad direction. But I mean, if I was to do something on my own without ChatGPT, I think I would have been I would have been some maybe two or three times faster, because the response time took some times to try to make ChatGPT answer the good question. Also
Right.
took some times. It did a lot of error,
Hmm.
but it was able to correct himself. So, but I mean, so for me, the good answer is that if you are an expert in the subject, ChatGPT will slow you down. But if you are not familiar with a subject, you can really learn a lot using ChatGPT.
Unless, of
And it
course.
was
Sorry. Yes. Go on. Go on.
I don't know. I was saying, and it was my case in the project with the Beat Saber map. So there is like a whole community of player which make their own custom maps, with a
Hmm.
really weird song and blocks coming out from everywhere.
Hmm.
And anyway, I didn't know anything about it, and so ChatGPT was able to explain to me how a Beat Saber map was working, and to make a script which would actually read from a Beat Saber map. And that's something that would have taken me days to
Hmm.
figure out. And so for something like this that you are not familiar with and that you don't know, I think it adds a lot of value, but so it's also response, I guess, to the question that you asked me earlier for will AI will take over the world and take our job. I mean, it can actually help people to learn something quicker, but it doesn't kind of replace expert people, the people that are expert on a particular field, uh, I believe.
I mean, personally, I think that AI to a certain extent is kind of insulting to us because the one industry in the world, okay, other than science, which is frigging important, um, that has contributed to our civilization from its start, is art, right? Is the arts, and the arts includes music, includes visual arts, includes whatever kind of arts, right? The fact is that in Asia, anyway, I don't know about the Western world, but in Asia, to hire, especially places like China, for example, because there's 1.3 billion people over there, so many people, to hire, an artist to do a painting of you using oil that may cost maybe, let's say, I don't know, 5 or 10,000 euros to do in America or whatever, will literally just cost you $20 here in China because there are so many thousands of people who have the same kind of skill set, which is frightening. In terms of what they can actually do. I worked with an animation company in China for a little while, for a couple of years, and I was blown away by these animators, by these modeling artists, by these shading artists, doing all the textures and everything. It was just mind blowing. And knowing that, when I was going to work, these guys were literally sleeping on the floor. Like I went to work one morning. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. There was all these bodies on the floor, and I'm like, what happened? Was there some kind of party going on there that I wasn't invited or something? No, it's just that they can't afford to go home. So they sleep on the
Oh,
floor 6 days a week, and then they go home on the Sunday, right? And then you have Chat GPT that comes up, and then you're like, okay, I'm just going to go and do a prompt. And then boom, you have this 3D visual chair that suddenly pops up out of nowhere, and then you can export it and then re-import it back into Unity. I mean, what's going to happen to all those guys who are, trying to do something that is really meaningful, but yet, completely obliterated because corporations, unfortunately, as it's how the world works, right? I mean, even indie devs to a certain degree, because and we can talk about this a little bit in terms of the challenges that indie devs have, is pretty much the same challenges that huge corporations have. They all have to save money somewhere, right? And I believe, well, are these tools a good thing? In some ways, yes, but in other ways, what's going to happen?
yeah, it's really really scary for imagine being an artist and working days and nights to create a really a beautiful painting and post it on Twitter and
Right.
have some people ask you if it's AI generated. I would be so mad. I mean, it's really hard for this. I I I I really don't know how some people like to compare it with when there was like photography which was invented. And I mean, well, so no need to have painters anymore because we can take a picture uh, with something. How do we say the word? Picture with
A
an
phone?
appareil photo.
With a camera?
Uh, a camera. Okay,
Une caméra,
sorry.
same
It
word. You can
it's
you can
getting
use
late
French
in
words.
Belgium,
You can
so.
say them in French if you forget the
Oh,
English.
thank you. Yeah, yeah. One of it works half the time. I must say, saying a French word to for an English one sometimes works. But anyway, so you have camera that are maybe replacing people painting, but and people are trying to say, oh, it's like that old time with AI, but I don't believe it is because it's not the same. It's doing exactly the same. So before we had before we could paint something and people now can take picture of it, but it's not a comparable project, it's
It's a
except
different
for the
medium, yeah,
realism,
different format.
which is, yeah, it's not the same type of art. But with AI generative art, the goal of the art is to copy the existing art. So there is no, I mean, so I don't agree with people that are saying that maybe uh, i- there will just be it's not of any matter. I think it's really a bit sad that it's taken the work from artists that are trying their best to in a really hard industry to make their own things. But I hope and I think it's already the case that people can understand and separate what is AI made and what's made by an artist, and try to give more value to the one made by a real human. and and I hope it will keep this way, even if AI evolve in the future. But
Yes.
yeah.
I think what's interesting is if you use Chat GPT, you will know if someone is using it. For example, I was reading some articles written in some publications about, some Meta news and Vision Pro news, and I knew that it was not the guy's name who appeared in the article as the reporter or the writer who wrote it. I know for sure because there are just certain things that ChatGPT say that you just like if you use it on I personally use it on a daily basis for emails and absolutely everything. It just saves a ton of time for me. Unfortunately, I have to, and I just know when these reporters for these big magazines, don't want to mention them in case get in trouble, but they are using ChatGPT already to write the reports, and I don't know if their boss know it, but that
Oh,
would be quite interesting. Okay, let's continue diving deeper into the rabbit hole of AI and how you use it. I really want to know more about this video that you did. I'm just going to show people which was your NPC video, which I think was completely mind-blowing. I know that Kaz and Chari also did a video where Kaz basically, because she's also a developer by trade. So she created an avatar of Chari, I believe, if I'm not wrong. And then she made Chari speak using ChatGPT in her video. I saw the video
crazy.
quite a while back, so sorry if they're watching the video or someone else who knows them is watching the video if I'm not explaining it correctly. But basically, they were using AI to show how it could be used. And she was using, I believe, NVIDIA's technology to depict. But you took a different approach. I'm just playing your video as I'm talking to you. Just take us through, this thing and what was your main goal? What did you learn from this, and how do you see using it in the future?
Yes, so the idea was like, okay, you can talk with an AI using ChatGPT. You can write it, you write to it, and it can answer you like he would, like a human being would. But the idea was that what would happen if we took that in virtual reality and make it a real conversation between two humans? Would it be possible for me to be immersed in a VR world and to go next to someone and try to talk to him, and using the power of ChatGPT to make this person answer to me like a real human being would? And it turns out that yes, actually you can. You only have a little bit of delay, which is kind of creepy, but anyway, it's really possible, and I think it's a nice use of this technology. I was quite impressed by it. I was actually it was actually a lot of work for a lot of work for things that I was not familiar to, which is 3D character, animation, and all that kind of stuff.
Can you
Because
explain a
I'm
little
more
bit more
focused.
about the 3D? Sorry, sometimes I just jump in.
No,
But
no,
what do you mean
you're
by
right.
what do you mean by 3D character? What kind of stuff did you have to learn there?
So the first thing that I had to learn was how to make a 3D character.
You mean
So basically,
a
you can
meta
go.
character
So no, no,
or an
basically,
avatar?
an avatar, a
Ah, okay,
human, a 3D model,
okay,
and so there are plenty of solution to do so. So basically, the most basic one is to go into a 3D modeling software and to try to create the little legs and the little arms of the person.
right.
But thankfully, there are some people that made really nice software that can create their own 3D human model. And this is what I use. I use a program called Character Creator,
Okay.
which is more oriented on the realism. For example, it's like a meta avatar,
Mm-hmm.
but a bit more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to learn a little bit more about the software and export it to Unity. And after that, for example, as I wanted to talk to the NPC, I had to learn about how to animate the mouth of the
I
avatar.
mean, that's a lot of
And so
work. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's
That's a lot of work.
because I learned that basically you cannot just open the mouth of the avatar if you want to make it talk,
Right.
as it's really weird to talk to. So what people like to do, and it's I mean it's a whole field, is use the Veisemi, which has basically the face animation that someone does when he talks.
Hmm.
So here I'm talking, but as I'm talking, I'm also opening my mouth, but also I don't know if I say hello, I move also my the other part of my face, and basically, basically you have to for each if you want to make an avatar talk, you have to study the sentence of the avatar and try to use the correct face animation at the correct time of the
Right.
sentence to make it really feel like he's
Like
talking.
it's really
And
talking.
that's
Yeah.
all challenge in all that.
Right.
But the result was really great, I think. Even if you cannot it's still a bit creepy. You know, the more you get realistic to an avatar, it's really hard to. It can be really realistic, but the human eyes can know when something is a bit off,
Right.
and it's really hard to make the perfect avatar.
Hmm.
But I was pretty happy with the result I had.
So, I mean, basically, what I mean, the fact that what I thought was very interesting from this specific video that you did, is the fact that first of all, you can actually trigger specific words, trigger events based on specific words when you're actually talking to the NPC. So that was the first thing that really blew my mind. And the second thing was you could actually have him talk, and then by specific words that he was saying, it would trigger another NPC to say something, so that basically they could kind of have a conversation together.
Yeah.
That is kind of robotic, but still, I mean, that was pretty amazing. I mean, did this really blow your mind when you finally sat behind and you're like making them talk? Did you make them have conversations that you didn't show on the video? I mean, how far did you take
No,
it?
no, it was a bit too messy at the end. You know, the project was taking a lot of time, but I mean, it's actually the only thing that I needed to do at that point to make one avatar talk to another was to reuse the output of one as the input as the other, and to jump from one to the other to create this conversation.
Hmm.
And it would have not be that hard to make, but the idea of, you know, like in a Red Dead Redemption, where you kind of have full control, and if you go to near to an NPC, you
Hmm.
talk to him, you can kill it, and all of the other NPC will know it and will act accordingly. And imagine that with the help of Chat GPT, you could actually create something similar without having to code that much, and to generate automatically the corresponding behavior based on the response of the AI, and it would actually create like a small version of what we have in our world, maybe a bit with some bugs, but it's actually possible at the moment that we are speaking. We can actually do so, and everybody has the power to create their own little games that use this segment. And something else, maybe I can show you. I see that I have the project opened. Maybe I can
Are you
show you
sharing your screen?
something.
So I'm still showing you a
I don't know.
video
Yeah,
of the NPC
do,
video.
do we have still the time? Maybe.
Yeah, of course there's
Uh,
time. There's
okay.
always time for you,
I
Valem.
will,
Y a pas de problème.
oh, that's kind. I will be as quick as possible. So this is actually, I'm doing a little bit of promotion here, but this is actually the result of a course that I posted on my
It's
Patreon,
all good. Yeah,
where
guys,
I
if you want to learn from Valem, he's doing courses. He has a what do you call it? The thing that you subscribe to.
a Patreon.
He's got a Patreon. That's right. Thank you. He's got a whole
Yeah.
bunch of things. I'll put links at the end of course, at the end of the stream in the description about how you can join and all that kind of stuff.
And actually, this is a little project that I made as a tutorials. So basically, the idea is to teach to anybody how to do this exactly. And so, for example, you have here an avatar. Let me just try to remember.
Trying to make it
And you
big.
can have multiple things: a personality, some information about the scene around, and you can have some action. And here, the action was to make the avatar dance. So, for example, I could write. I don't know if you can see the what I'm writing, but
I've got a big screen
uh,
on me, so I can kind of see. But for those who are
okay.
using a phone,
So for example, I could write your name is Quentin.
so for those who
So
can't
that's my
really
name.
see, basically there's a little box on the Unity, which is the game engine software that he uses to create games, and that most people in the industry use, to be honest, other
Yeah.
than Unreal, which is the other one. So he's writing in a box some commands to give to the character that you can see, the yellow lady there, the lady dressed in yellow, to make her say stuff using AI stuff.
Yeah, and what I wanted to show is that I could come up with a new personality on the spot. So here, this one is your name is Quentin,
So
and you
okay,
like
wait a minute, wait a minute. Let's just take a step back
oh,
because I'm trying to understand here.
yeah, yeah,
This
sure.
isn't
Sorry.
something I've seen in Unity before. So is this a Chat GPT plugin that's part of your Unity software? What exactly is this thing?
No, 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 no. This is only text parameters
Oh, so it's
that I
based on your
created in
script
my
that you
script.
wrote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ah,
And
okay, got
so
it, got it.
basically what I'm doing here is that I want to show you that you can actually came up with a new personality,
Right.
and the ChatGPT avatar will absolutely adapt. And what I wanted to show you is like if I said that the personality is your name is Quentin and you like watching VR Essential.
So he wrote a script. So basically, for those who are not familiar in Unity, you can write code scripts using C Sharp, I believe. And basically, what he's done is that depending on the script that you write, it will automatically create boxes for you. So instead of having to rewrite the script every single time, you can just change the parameters, whether it could be, for example, a size or a depth or a width or whatever it might be. In this case, it's actually a personality of the character that he's building in his game. So wait a minute. So how does it change the personality though? Because is your script linked back to ChatGPT? I mean, how your script is an AI script? I mean, what kind of script? Of course, you can't show us your
It's
script,
a
but I mean,
it's a
explain to
magic
me what
script.
kind of script is
So
this?
I
Because
can maybe show you this just after. I will show you a bit what it
that's
looks like
mind-boggling.
if a developer tries to use ChatGPT, because I think it shows how powerful the tool is.
Right.
And I will just you are doing a
So
pod,
you can give it any
podcast.
personality you want, like
Yeah,
a
exactly.
sleazy,
And
lazy, big fat
exactly.
mama
And
to a really
describe anything you
sporty
want.
Olympian person.
Yeah, and we
Wow,
will try. I will say, hello,
that's amazing.
what's your name? So maybe you can see this. I hope it will work. We are not. Hello, what's your name? And it will try to understand. Hey there, my name is Quentin. Nice to meet you. So you see, it has adapt. And so, what do you like to watch? And it will answer, I enjoy watching VR Essentials. You see? Oh, and I pressed 2 times on enter, and that's why he gives two answer. Okay, here it is. I enjoy watching VR Essential. They are quite fascinating. You see? And it can on the spot change its personality, but you can create something really, really more complex
Right.
than what I just made. You can try to describe the personality that the relationship that this avatar has with the other, and you can really start building and creating a whole text that ChatGPT can use as information to to hear a response to me. And basically you can write or say anything that you want, and the avatar will adapt. So do you want to say something to the avatar?
uh, how cold is it?
How cold is it? I'm
Because she's
I'm
wearing a
so
jumper.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't catch the complete message. Can you? Oh, it's not as you can see.
How many?
I'm sorry, but I don't have the ability to sense temperature in this podcast scene. So as you can see, because I
Does
said that
Does
the
anyone on
scene
the stream
is
watching want to ask it a question? Leave your question below, and we'll ask we'll
that's a
ask
good
the
one
AI
actually.
avatar. But the answers, however, do you feed it the answers beforehand, or does it come up like, for example, it answered, it enjoys watching VR Essentials. Is that something that you fed it to, or does it
No,
really
no, no.
come up with its own answers?
No, it's generate like you would with ChatGPT
Right,
when you are discussing with him.
right.
It can generate the answer on the spot, and so I have nothing more to tell him than the personality in the scene.
But
And
how?
maybe I can show you a little bit what happens in the script,
Right.
and you will see it's really interesting.
So now he's
Up, up,
opening
up.
his actual script
Yeah.
software, which is called Visual Studio, which again, I'm not an expert, guys. I'm just translating what we're seeing so you guys understand. Visual Studio is one of the most popular softwares used to generate scripts for a whole wide of different things, not just gaming.
Yeah. So I know this is a bit weird for people that are not developer to see something like this, but this is
This is the
what
Matrix,
the
everybody.
yeah. Oh, I don't know why everything is in red. Okay,
It's
there
literally
you
the
go.
Matrix.
So this is what I say to ChatGPT to create a discussion like this. I say, you are a video game character and will answer to the message the player asks you. You must reply to the player's message only using the information from your personality and the scene that are provided afterwards. Do not invent or create responses that are not mentioned in these information. Do not break character, etc. And so that's basically, I'm trying to put ChatGPT in the good mindset and then say, here is the information about your personality, here is the information about the scene around you, and here is the message of the player. And then using all of that prompt, he will try to answer based on the info that I gave
Right.
him. And this is why this is why I can create something custom. And something that I didn't show you is that also, if I click on play here, just to show you,
So it has the voice or the animation.
yeah, maybe if I say, can you dance? Oh, it also has the voice. So, and I can also use my voice to speak to him. But something that I want to show you, I hope it will work. Can you dance? If I ask him to dance, as you can see, I can dance, but I can certainly talk about games on this podcast. But what I did for the ChatGPT is that if I say a certain word,
Mm-hmm.
it can trigger something. So in this case, it's actually if I say the word dance, it will trigger a
Right.
certain action. So you can imagine that you could actually use this to, for example, say, "Oh, can you show me where the princess is?" And you will have a little NPC character that will guide you to the dungeon entrance where the princess is kept by the dragon. You see, you could create more than speech. You can create also action and make NPC do way more than simply response to you. And that's also another subject that I feel can really improve,
And
can really impact the future of video game,
and
not just in
when you're
VR.
talking about personality, are you able at this moment in time to give it a not just personality in terms of how it talks to people, but also in terms of how it moves? So you could actually change. So if you said, okay, you're drunk, and it acts drunk, so it talks like it's drunk, it walks like it's drunk, it all that kind of stuff, or is that possible yet using ChatGPT
Yeah,
or
yeah,
any AI?
and that's something also that I learned on the video, that the ChatGPT NPC video,
Mm-hmm.
because I was trying to make a pirate,
Right.
and so I said, "Oh, you are a pirate. Try to answer to me like you are a pirate." And actually, the NPC took a pirate pronunciation,
Right.
with the R, yar, I'm a pirate, and, and so it's
That's
really
amazing,
weird.
right?
Maybe I can see if this works.
That's really
Uh,
amazing.
i- if
But
I
for
say,
because the sorry, I know you're gonna try doing two things at the same time now. But I know that when you're animating a character, we physically, I mean, developers physically have to animate them so that they walk a specific way or they act a certain way. So I'm just wondering if that means that ChatGPT has its own database. Like, let's say that Unity had a cloud database of an imaginable number of ways of walking for the character, right? Then, based on the AI, it would then know which one to go and select so that the character, based on the instructions you give it, will know exactly how to animate based on that. So the person, the developer or the animator, doesn't have to actually animate them, themselves, basically saving that time
yeah,
in having to do that.
yeah, exactly. We could. That's a really good point. I mean, uh, this. So this is called procedural animation.
Right.
which works really well for a lot of guys. For example, if you want to animate a spider, it's
We're back to
way more
spiders again.
easier
I think you
to.
have a penchant for spiders.
Yeah, I do. But a partial, I like. I understand that word. um, but it's with a human, it's a bit more complicated.
Right.
But actually, yes, you could. It's actually, yeah, and you could actually create another personality and try to change the animation based also on this personality. Um, but you're right. Um, but it's yeah, there is a lot of stuff to dig in, I believe, with this kind of technology. But the thing that I fear a little bit is that the sometimes the AI is a little bit over the place. What we don't like as a developer is when there are things that we cannot control, because if there are something that we cannot control, it means that most of the time some bugs will happen. And this is maybe the only big problem that I see with this kind of NPC chat GPT stuff, is that as you don't have the full control of what the NPC can do, maybe it will be a bit harder to handle all of these interaction. But who knows? Maybe we will find another way. But I mean, it creates all kind of possibilities, and that's what really fascinates me at the moment with this kind of technology. And and I hope it will it will again later.
I just wanted to ask you a very quick question, which is completely sidelined, but it's just related to NPCs and how people actually react to NPCs. The first thing is, I guess that there will be ways to make it safe for kids, so that the NPC doesn't say certain words. Because you're right, you can't control what they're going to say, right? It's not like you're animating a specific script. This is actual AI script. It's unscripted in certain way, right? So I
Hmm.
guess you can control the level of, like, it wouldn't curse words, for example. The F word, the S word, all the C word, all these kind of words. Is there a way to control that, so that it's kid friendly, or it's not even kid friendly, but just friendly, safe as it can be? In Is that something you
Yeah,
can control?
I guess that already OpenAI with ChatGPT are trying their best to keep the response of ChatGPT as clean as possible.
Right.
But you're right. I guess we have not a lot of possibilities at the moment, because even if in the personality and in the instruction given to ChatGPT,
Hmm.
you say, "Oh, don't do this or don't do that," you are not 100% sure that he will actually follow what you gave him as explanation, as he can sometimes be wrong or to not work. So, for example, the main thing that I'm trying to say to in the script is to not act as an NPC and not say that he is an AI. And most of the time, I don't know why, if he has no answer, or sometime for some reason he just out of the blue say that he's a robot. So uh, so yeah, you can it's I don't know how you can maybe deal with this. It's yeah, I mean, the possibilities that I can see at the current time is that you can maybe try to generate a few hundreds of answer and then stop the generation, try to use one of these answer for your game, and yourself study these answer and see if they are appropriate and if you can handle them in your game. And if it is the case, I mean, the player will never notice that you only have 100 answer in your game and not an infinite, like it's the case with ChatGPT. So so I guess it's maybe the most viable solution at the time.
I have a question by one of our viewers here. I don't know how many nanas he's got. Uh, he's asking whether you're using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo or 4 when you were doing your questions with the NPC video.
So that's actually a good question,
And
because for
what's the
the
difference between the two if you tried both?
so the difference between the two is that 4 is better, 3.5 is faster. This is the easiest. This is the main separation between the two. And so, for example, in the case of the Beat Saber video, it was best for me to use ChatGPT 4. But for this project in particular, I had to use 3.5 because it's actually I wanted the NPC to answer as fast as possible. Otherwise, it will have take me like 2 or 3 seconds more to have an answer, which is a bit which stop the immersion.
But do you find that ChatGPT 4 is more accurate? And if so, I believe that, I don't know whether it's still there or not, but I believe that there used to be a number of queries you could ask it before it has to go back to 3.5 as part of the 20 whatever
Yeah.
US dollar subscription is. So if you found that it gave you better answers and then you had to revert back to 3.5, did you then start to get frustrated? I mean, what was your relationship like, experience like in terms of
Yeah,
going back and forth between 3.5 and 4?
Actually, for ChatGPT 4, it really felt like it was way smarter. So it could answer to me um, when I had more precise question in terms of development. It could answer to me a bit better, I believe. But I'm not even sure it is the case anymore because I've seen a lot of articles talking recently about the quality of ChatGPT 4, which diminished for some reason. So that's also something which is a bit weird right now with these technologies, that you are not sure about the answer the AI will give you, but now you are not sure even if the AI will be smart, you know? So there is a lot of unknown things, I must say, and that I hope will be resolved later, but yeah.
I have a question for you in terms of NPCs. Now that you're able to give it personality, do you find that you look at your NPCs in your development differently? Like, do you see them more human-like, I would say? Or do you still perceive that? I mean, maybe you've always perceived them to be as a human-like kind of thing. I don't know. Or has that changed in any way? And also, second part question, you know, how does it make you feel? Like, for example, I saw this guy the other day on this other game that came out recently, not on Dead Citadel, but a very similar game to it. And the NPC, the quality of the NPCs, I have to say the textures were really, really well done. And in one of them, there's like a little girl. One of the NPCs is a girl, like a magic girl, and you know she looks pretty cool, but she's got a short skirt, and she's very. All the NPCs in that game are quite responsive when you touch them. So all the textures of all the clothes and everything actually move with the touch, with the movement, the event that is triggered. You know, and he was just, to me, it felt very inappropriate the way that he was touching this woman, trying to look under the skirt, you know, all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
do you find that this is also stuff that, you know, do you know if there's a way to stop? For example, is there a way to stop NPCs not to give the finger or to do certain acts, like if you asked it to do something inappropriate or do a gesture that's inappropriate or insulting to a culture or race, do you know how far this thing can go, or whether there's any, I mean, yeah, where can you take this thing at this moment in time?
Yeah, so basically, as a developer, you can do things, you can do anything you want. You have the full control about your creation. But I mean, the real question is when you share it to the world, what happens, you know? So, I mean, everything is technically possible, but uh, and but I mean. Would it really? I really, I really don't know. Maybe some people will done some twisted things
Yeah,
later in the future with
especially the
the
young
help
ones, right?
of. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's something that's more the fault of, I must say, the player and not the developer. Even if no, that's a good question actually. Oh,
I mean,
because who is the person to blame for doing something appropriate
but on the
this
developer
way?
side, you can restrict certain movements. So uh,
Yeah.
because I mean, it can reply what it wants, but you can give it a restriction as to not to be rude. Or do you have control on that? Like, do you really have control on making sure it's not rude or it's not insensitive to some
Yeah,
culture, or
this I have the
this you have the
control. I
control.
can say,
Okay,
for example, if
right.
someone in the personality of the avatar that you see, I can, for example, I can say, oh, you are a you are a person that like to talk, you enjoy the company of other, and like to chat about how your day is doing. Or I can say you just mumble some words and don't answer afterwards. So you can basically tweak a bit the personality also in the response of the person. But how far can we go, and can we do twisted thing? I'm not sure.
Well,
But
maybe
to
it could,
answer also,
maybe it could be used as a
uh,
means to educate people. So, for example, in this example of this guy who's trying to look down the skirt of this NPC, which is stupid, but if the AI knows, if it's pre-programmed to know certain things that could happen, certain events that could occur, then it could be, it could react in the appropriate way to make sure that this player either gets banned or gets a warning, or basically, because the AI will know what it's doing, it can then feed back that data straight to the game's database or
oh,
whatever,
okay.
to then say, right, strike one, if you do that again you're out of this game, or or we take all your loot, or we kill you off, or whatever, some kind of consequence perhaps could be
Yeah,
used to
exactly.
train
That,
people, maybe. Do you see?
that's a good point because actually, we with virtual reality, we are trying to kind of blur what's what's virtual and what's real.
Right,
That's the whole point, and this means that we are giving more and more power to the player, because now the player has not just joystick but is all hands in the game.
right.
He can look, he can see, he can do anything he wants. But uh, giving more power to and more possibility to someone also means that there is a lot of uh, things that the player can do, which are most of the time really hard to control. And I'm not sure it will even be possible for someone. I mean, it's the case with most VR game. So, for example, something that we could see in the early poker game, the poker game that you play in VR,
Yeah.
you could basically move your VR headset under the table and place your head through the table to see the cards of the other player, for example.
Right.
And nobody could stop you because
Right,
like it's VR and you can
right.
you can move anywhere you want. You have no physical touch with the environment. And so I mean this is something a bit hard for the developer to control. But that's actually a valid point. How we can, I'm sure that we cannot stop. It's like also in real life, you cannot stop somebody to do something in real life
No, but
as well.
at least this person knows there will be consequences. So whether they
Yeah,
want to take those consequences or not, then that's completely up to them,
yeah.
right? But at the moment, when
Mm.
you have an NPC, you touch it or you poke it or whatever, it doesn't do
It does
anything,
nothing.
right? Unless
Yeah,
you give it something to do, to react to whatever, right?
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so, but in terms of AI, I think that's where things could be interesting is, and also making sure, like for example, if you have someone trying to poke a woman's, upper body, for example, or something, or do something inappropriate, then make sure that the woman doesn't maybe react in a violent way, so that violence is not the consequence of. So it's more, it's training people how to use AI to have these consequences, but in a more um, in a way that makes it so they don't do it again. But again, it doesn't promote violence or violent reaction, which could also lead to a more violent then consequence from that player
Yeah,
or something.
I get, yeah, exactly. And
Right.
to answer also for the first question that you asked me
Ah,
about,
yes. Do you
did
find
I
them more
feel
human?
connected? So did I feel connected to these people? I must say that for some reason no, but maybe it's because I was the creator, if I must say. So it was like I know what they really are, so I have no emotional intelligence, emotional connection with them. But something really weird that happened was not with them, but with Chat GPT, because as I was talking more and more, and maybe a lot of people have this phenomenon, I'm not sure, but you feel like you are at the end not speaking to just an AI, but instead of typing, write me a code that does blah blah blah, I said, hey, ChatGPT, can you, I was trying to add to talk a bit more humanly to a robot. So and it felt also like, doing project with Chat GPT, and maybe it's the same with other tasks, but it felt like as I was not alone doing it,
Right. No, I agree with
and
you
I
100%.
felt it a bit. It helped, it felt like I was not I was. I had someone there to support me a bit on this task, which was really great.
Yeah, no, it definitely, for me, it's the same thing. Like even just writing an email to someone, the fact that I can outsource that to something else, it makes me feel like it's someone else. It really feels like you
Mhm.
do have an assistant who's almost human, who you can ask things to do, and then it does it for you in a more humanly way as opposed to a robotic way. I wanted to ask you, so how did it feel when you were in the VR world and you're there, you're faced with your creation, uh, your avatar, and you're talking to it. How did that? What was the sensation for you?
It was weird. I mean, the first moment that it worked and that I could talk, to someone, and have not just a response, a written response, but a vocal one. It was really weird to see, like, everything happens. It kind of blurs a little bit the you have already with virtual reality a bit of uh, the virtual world that is blurred, but having people that you can talk to is really weird. I mean, it's a bit the same as multiplayer. I feel like multiplayer is like one of the most immersive way that you can try VR, and having NPC that does this as well, kind of helped it. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's very interesting. So I have okay, and I know you're very busy, but stay with us, Quentin, if that's possible for a little while, short while. I have a question here from Imu Shazu. He says he's using the Pico 4 to develop his own VR game, but sometimes he finds it difficult using that product, and as it has less features compared to the Meta Quest. Can you give us your thoughts? Have you actually developed stuff on the Pico 4? Because I'm not sure about that.
I don't have Pico 4, but
I mean the
I
Pico
believe that
in
I
general.
tried the Pico G2.
Okay.
So Pico 4 is the latest one,
Yeah,
right?
latest one. Yeah.
Uh, oh, and what kind of feature does it not have? I felt like the headset was kind of great, as it already have color
It
pass
has.
through,
I
if
think
I'm
it.
not
Well, it has
wrong.
most of the Quest 2 features, including hand tracking, color pass through. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I think those are the
So
two main
so,
main things. To be honest with you, although
so
hand tracking
if
is still infant, it's still like Quest 1 level. It's certainly not
mm.
Quest 2 level yet.
So if I want to answer the question of Imushazu, what
Imu
I
Shazu. Yeah.
like to say is that I believe that Pico also have their own tools to make their own game, as we talked about before. But
Yeah.
if you want to make a VR game for the Pico, I would strongly encourage you to try the Unity XR Interaction Toolkit, which use OpenXR, and OpenXR makes sure that it will work not only for Pico but for most of the VR headsets. And I have a magnificent VR tutorial series that can maybe teach you this. So if you have any question, I can also direct you in over there. And I believe it works well on the Pico. But of course, as it is meant to work for most headsets, it does not take into account the recent feature. So, for example, color pass-through is not supported, I believe. But if you are just getting started on your VR journey, uh, you, I feel like it's the best place to start.
If you're looking to create your first VR game, should you create a VR immersive game or a mixed reality interactive game first?
Yeah, I would say for the time, as it's kind of new, I would expect the beginner to get started more on the VR side than the mixed reality side, which is a bit more tricky. Um, VR is really hard to making a VR game is not already easy. So I feel like it's the best place to start. But already it depends also if you have some background on C sharp and computer science. But there are also a lot of great tutorials made by other great people on YouTube that can help you in that task. So yeah. I feel like now with YouTube you can basically do anything you want.
Right.
You and with the help of ChatGPT now nothing holds you back. So you have a whole road, and I think like maybe if you just ask ChatGPT now, how can I learn VR development? It can maybe already give you some ideas on how to get started. But yeah, Unity XR Toolkit is for me the place to start.
How important is it to find, let's say, a mentor or someone you can, someone that can help you on the journey of actually creating a game? If you're someone who perhaps doesn't have much experience creating games itself, so you're not a developer per se, but you want to be part of that process. And also, what are the costs to build a game that, let's say, is semi-professional, and that can be packaged or marketed as a proper game?
So the idea for to answer about the cost question, the good news is that it's free. So Unity is free, Visual Studio is free. Most of the software that you want to use to make a VR game will be free. So you can use Blender to make 3D model. So basically, it's not about the money, but it's more about the time it takes and the level of dedication that you need to put to make your game stand out, because a lot of people want to make a game or a VR game, and it's hard also to make it stand out compared to the other, especially for beginners. So that's why if you are getting started on the VR game, so for example for your racket game that you told me that you get started, this is for example a great example of something achievable, and you want your first project to be uh, a simple mechanism that works great in VR, you know. And this for example seems like something a good idea at first, and so don't try to make the next MMORPG in VR or something a bit too complicated. The idea is to keep getting motivated by the project that you made. And I'm sure the hard truth so is that your first project will not be the best one. It's like anything in life. So try to keep it simple, because maybe one day you will have to leave it on the side and keep going on your VR journey. But it's best to keep things simple at first. Yes.
What kind of people do you need on a team to build a VR game like Beat Saber, let's say, or some rhythm based game, or something simple? I'm not talking something like Half-Life Alyx where you need 50 coders or whatever it might be, or Hubris even. I don't know if you've tried Hubris, but it's an amazing
Yeah,
adventure.
I think that it's the studio is from Belgium also. I'm not. I think they are the Belgium VR Game of the Year.
Oh, okay,
I'm not
wow.
sure.
Yeah, because those
So
guys
so
are an
yeah.
indie. I mean, they will explain to me how they actually changed developers, because they're an indie developer agency. So same thing, they're working on their costs and things, and they had all these different people working on the same part of the game. So one person would be there painting one part of the mural, and then they have someone else carrying on and someone else carrying on, which I think is pretty interesting. It's like stitching kind of work in a way. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, what kind
but
of
I
people
mean,
do you need to do something?
some people manage to make games alone. One of the most famous is Minecraft, which was made at first by only one person. But I mean, it really depends on the scope of the project. Some people work in team of 100 people, like 30 artists, 20 programmers, 10 designers, and keep on going. So I mean, it really depends on the scope of the project. Me personally, I like to work at least with another person which is more oriented on the visual side. I'm
Right,
more
right.
of a technical person,
Hmm.
and so I need somebody to kind of complete my lack of art skill,
Right.
and try to work with me in that sense. So yes, I mean, if you feel like you can do anything, if you feel like you can tackle a whole project on your end, so go for it. But otherwise, try to get specific in one area and have your friend help you on the others.
Okay. I have some questions to ask you by ChatGPT, by the way. which are quite short. So let's see what the
Okay.
questions are that it came up with. Let me just bring the questions here. Okay.
Yeah, I must say, after the question, I will sadly have to go.
No problem.
Unfortunately,
No problem. All good. So first, what's your favorite VR game of all time? Do you have one?
oh, that's easy. So it's it will be Beat Saber. First I was trying to give her an answer of a niche VR game that nobody knows about, but I must say this is the most famous VR game for a reason. It's so fun, and it endures all of uh, the aspect of VR in only one game. So which is crazy to me. So I must say it's this one.
Simplicity is key, right? Because that game is just it
Exactly.
works
Again,
and
again.
it's just simple. Okay, question two. If you could create a VR game about anything, no limits, what would it be?
So my dream VR game would be. Uh-huh, that's a good question. So I have this. So you know this idea about. No, I have already to answer. But right now I'm still working on a VR game that my goal is to release. So I did like a getting over it in VR, and my goal is to release this game, which actually take a lot of time with all the work I have to decide. But I guess my dream game will be to finally release this one, and and to push it to the final step, because actually that's something that I feel like I have not done enough, is to finish something, a real game, and to have it as a finished product for everybody to try.
Cool,
And so I guess it's I hope to release it in the future, but
cool.
who knows.
Before you go, I just remembered I wanted to talk to you about your VR game jam, if that's all right with you, just to educate people about what it is. I mean, I'll just explain very briefly what it is. It's basically an opportunity for people to submit games, experiments that you organize, that you host. What happens to the winners? What happens to the entries after people send you, their game experiments, and also how often do you do them every year?
Yes, so the VR Jam happens once a year. We want to keep it as casual as possible, so there is no prize for this year for the winner. This is just about having fun and try new things with VR and with around a specific theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the idea was like I think we started this like 3 or 4 years ago, and now we have like more than 100 entries. So
That's
there are
amazing. Yeah,
more than 100 games that were made during this jam,
that's
and
amazing.
I was kind of blown away by the result of this year. Each year, it's getting better and better, and it's kind of really impressive. There are a lot of games that I can understand how they were able to do this in this short amount of time,
Do you think some
and
people did it before, but they submitted it as part of your game jam?
yeah, but it's not that easy, because even if they can prepare some of these things earlier,
Mm-hmm.
they have to do it around a specific theme, and
Right.
so it means that they have to shift their whole project around the theme, which also take a lot of time. So taking that into consideration, it's just pure wizardry. So
Right.
no, these people are really dedicated, and
Right.
so it was really fun to play the submission and to try them all.
So this
Um,
year was about. I mean, I saw there was quite a lot of babies in them.
yeah, the theme was like a special delivery,
Right. Special
and
delivery.
so of course a lot of people had the idea of doing something with a baby, which is deliver a baby or try to
It's amazing,
uh,
right?
try to catch a baby in the air.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess a game that's one of my favorite entries, which was really different from what we used to see, is a hand tracking game, where
Right.
basically you have your hands,
Mm-hmm.
and your hand can control the mouth of a duck. And so basically, the
Right.
game called Your Hand is a Duck,
Mm-hmm.
and you are here like with your hand moving and making the head of the duck move with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have this kind of puzzle to try to resolve, to make your ducklings go from one place to
To
another.
another. It's a
And
bit
it
like
was
Lemmings,
really
right?
really fun.
It's a bit like the game's Lemmings. Do you know the Lemmings game where you
Oh, I'm
you
going
you have to
to
control
Google
this
it.
bunch of people to save them to make sure they don't get trapped in or fall or die or something?
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, yes, yeah, that's something similar, exactly. Uh,
I'm just showing the
yeah, okay.
video of the duck game as you're talking. How do you have time to test all the various different entries? I mean, that's a lot of entries.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm still not able to release the game that I just talked to you about earlier. It's that it takes so much time, but
Wow.
it's so much fun. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy to be in a position to play 100 games for a living. You know,
That's amazing,
that's a
right?
bit crazy to think of, and I mean it's really also fun to see. So for example, one thing that I did for this year jam was to create a template.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a background for people to build upon for a VR game. And it was really fun to me to see a lot of people use this template as well to create the structure of their VR game. Because we are doing a bit the same job, you and me. We speak to stranger on the internet, and
Right.
sometimes we cannot see the repercussion and the feedback of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was really I was really happy to see this kind of I don't know this kind of feedback to
Mm-hmm.
see that's what we do as a repercussion on the world. And it was really fun to me to see it over this VR jam.
Cool. That's really awesome. And was there a specific game that stood out the most for you?
That's a good question. The most creative one, if I'm being honest, it was the duck one,
Okay.
because having end tracking in a game is really
It's still
it's
tough.
really hard,
Right.
and making it in a creative way that's not seen anywhere, and that worked with the theme, which was really crazy. Otherwise, there were games that took the time to add some story,
Mm-hmm.
which is already mind blowing.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't remember. Fragment was the name, I believe, of one that stood out,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which uh, which uh, uh, which was really also fun to play. But yeah, but so these two would be my favorite one.
Okay. Where do you want the VR Jam to go? Where do you see it going in the next few years? Like, what's your wish? How far do you want it to be? Like an event where potential venture capitalists and publishers or things like that start to become judges, or they get to be people who can then incubate these people, take them to the next level. I mean,
Yeah.
what's your end goal? What's your wish goal for VR jams?
So we had a lot of talks about this actually
Mm-hmm.
with the other judge and the other person organizing the
Mm-hmm.
jam. I saw Justin P. Barnett, who was in the live a few minutes ago,
Yeah.
and I mean we talked about adding price. This year we added
Mm-hmm.
some celebrity judge, as we call them, to play the game, which was also fun to have a feedback from people that are outside of the VR dev sphere, but
Definitely.
knows a lot about VR games.
Right.
Um, but I guess that for my part, I want to keep this as casual as possible. I don't want to be. I want people not to feel a bit overwhelmed,
Right.
like it's sometimes the case when making a VR game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if we add some things like price, or like, oh, there are incubator that can help you,
Mm-hmm.
or this and that, it can deviate the event from
Right.
the fun aspect that we want to engage, and which I believe is like the main part of doing a VR
VR jam.
a game jam. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because people are just motivated just by the fact that they just want to take part in the jam. They're not
Yeah,
motivated by
exactly.
anything else, right? So they're just doing it for the pure heart and passion
Huh.
for what they're doing, right?
Yeah,
And then on the
yeah,
side, you
exactly.
could do something else that is completely different that would help them, but in a different way, I guess.
Passionate people are really the best people. And this jam really meant to me that there are a lot of them
Mm-hmm.
in the VR niche. As 100 people actually make game around this, so it's also, I think, a big um, a big tell in the future of VR, in because people are still passionate about after all these years and after all of these news articles talking about VR that was dead. You know, the famous VR is dead article that
Yes, there
released
have been
about
so
once
many of
per
them.
week. And so, I mean, people, maybe VR will die, but for now, people are still getting passionate about it. And this event is the proof of it. And I believe it will be the case for a long, long time. And I hope it will actually.
I think you'll find
But
that
yeah.
most of these articles are written by people who um, don't really understand our industry, to be honest. And also, there's a lot of political stuff that goes around. I think the fact that there are a lot of issues, Meta as a company, which is also most undoubtedly why there were a lot of these FUD articles that came out to try and put more pressure on our industry. But actually, there's a lot going on. There are billions of dollars being spent yearly in our industry, and now Apple's joined the party. So now the FUD is kind of leaving because everyone's pro Apple. So now it's pro metaverse, right? So
Mm.
I guess things are only going to improve. And one of my favorite movies, in fact, which was a flop, is Valerian. Um,
Oh,
by the famous
it's a
French
flop.
director, right? Yeah, and
Oh.
in that movie, there's a great VR scene where they go into the desert and they go in the market, and there's this whole underworld of people shopping for things and stuff, and it's only gonna be amazing. I think 10, 15 years from now, you're gonna see everyone and anyone in the VR space selling headsets from $10, plastic crappy things, to Ferrari hybrid kind of things that you put on your head, and you can think of something and the object will move. No need for controllers or hands even. So I think it's going to be really, really phenomenal. But sir, thank you so much for coming to the show today. Been super happy, super psyched, super excited. You're welcome to come back. Of course, if there's anything you want to talk about in the future, promote or whatever it might be, just send me a message and we'll just make it happen for sure. So thank you very much.
It will be my pleasure. Thank you for having me. This was really a fun conversation, and I hope to see you again. Yeah, maybe let's do another one in the future. Maybe I
Cool.
hope to have more projects to share with you, and I would love to do this again.
Awesome. And so, Valem, you have your YouTube channels, of course. You have your Patreon. Is there anything else that, if there's anything else we should know about, let us know now, or you can DM me later. And then in the description below this live stream video today, I will add all the links that we need to add so that you can go and find out more information about Valem and all his activities.
Yeah, thank you.
Last words, Valem. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, thank you to the people that are listening or that will listen afterwards to the podcast. And if you are interested in VR development, go check out my YouTube channel, Valem. The link is in the description. I'm so used to this sentence now, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm always trying. I'm always happy to help beginners or more experienced developer try to answer their question in any way. So it will be my pleasure to have you on board also on my channel.
Awesome. Sounds great. All right, so we'll have a great evening, great afternoon even, because it's the afternoon where you are in Belgium, right?
Yeah, actually, it's the time to eat on my part. So
Okay.
I'm
Bon
going to
appétit.
jump on my bike and merci beaucoup. Ah, on avait dit qu'on finirait en français, hein?
Oui, c'est exact. Moi, j'ai pas l'opportunité de parler en français maintenant à Singapour. Je connais pas de français ici en fait. Il y en a un tout petit peu, mais il y en a pas beaucoup. Mais bon, voilà.
Mais c'est fou que tu parles français en plus si bien avec un accent parfait.
On
Ça,
essaye. On essaye.
Enfin bon, on rattrapera, on aura une autre conversation pour savoir. J'ai plein de choses que je veux savoir sur toi maintenant aussi,
Il y a
sur
pas de
la vie à
problème.
Singapour et tout ça.
Pas de
Ah bah,
problème.
Fistful of Shrimp qui est là aussi. C'est cool ça.
All right, sir. Well, have a
Gros
good
fan.
one. I will talk to
Allez,
you very soon.
ciao ciao, salut, bye
Bye,
bye,
Valem.
thank you.
Ciao. So, guys, there you have it. Valem live on the show. Was a real pleasure to have him and to talk with him. I hope you guys enjoyed this stream as well. Please smash the likes, give him some support, and also as a thank you and to help the video, get promoted by the YouTube's algorithm so we can increase the VR Essentials community. I will put, once I have all the links and everything, give me a day or so. I will put all the details, description with the links and everything below as well. But I just wanted to thank all of you for coming to the stream. You guys are absolutely amazing. And First Full of Shrimp. Wow, what a name. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for your comment. This was a blast and my first time seeing VR Essentials. Wow, your first time. We have been here in, well, I think 3 years now, 4 years. It's going to be 4 years almost. I believe my first video was around August 2019, if I'm not wrong, around there, with the Oculus Go. Can you believe I used to do Oculus Go videos? And I really have a great time watching them because I laugh. They're so bad, I laugh. And yeah, I got better, but they're still bad, but I still laugh. Anyway, but yeah, it's been a pleasure to have Valem on the show, and really amazing to learn more about all the AI stuff, which I think is incredible. So guys, do go back into the stream to listen about how he was able to use AI and capitalize on AI as part of his development in creating a copy Beat Saber, whether you could use AI to create a copy Beat Saber, and also NPCs to have them speak, have personalities, how he was able to write scripts to change those personalities on the go as often as he wanted to, whenever he wanted to. I think is pretty amazing stuff. But guys, hit the notification bell as we'll be doing more live streams. The next one coming up, I think there's one before that. One will be with Daspani, who teaches how to do dancing and stuff in virtual reality. Absolutely amazing lady. And we'll also be talking to, if I just go to my Twitter, and guys, do follow me on Twitter as well at Lazius. This is the Twitter here, Lazius KXR. We don't have a VR Essentials Twitter, but I'm here if you want to come and join me, join the channel, join the party, excuse me. We're also going to have this lady, Antenia Forster, who's an absolutely amazing lady, does a lot of LGBTQ stuff. She's done some projects with some museums, so it'd be lovely to have her on the show, even though she'll only be able to be here for 30 minutes. I'll only have 30 minutes with her, so, you know, we'll try to capitalize on that. It might be on August 11th. We're trying to confirm the date. With Dust Bunny, it'll be later in August. And also Between Realities, I'm trying to pound them to come on the show. But that maybe will occur in September. All right, guys, until next time, take it easy. Hit the notification bell for all the juicy videos that I upload regularly to the videos. Hit the likes. Until next time, I will see you. Have a great time. Until next time. Bye, guys. Bye for now.